Welcome to the ONSTAGE podcast. I'm your host, Chris Robert. Hello, welcome to another great podcast. Good evening, and thank you for joining us here at the stage. How was your day? Mine was great. It sounds a little contrived though, but I got a new hat here. Decided to put the black one on, black fedora. I want to say welcome to our first virtual concert podcast, which means that the person we're going to be interviewing is actually going to play for us. So our special guest will share about her life, and you will hear some great music and give you a wonderful performance of music and sharing of her lifescapes. So she's a singer and songwriter, and I can't wait to have her on this podcast. Singer-songwriter, and guitarist, and indie artist from Amherst, Nova Scotia, Canada, has been performing there for audiences as well as New Brunswick and the Greater Toronto area for years. Let's bring her in, ladies and gentlemen. Here she is, our favorite, Michelle Marie LeBlanc. Hi, Michelle.
Hi, Chris. How are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
Good. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you.
Nice to talk to you.
So what's been up?
Oh, not too much. Through the Christmas season and just been, winding down from from 2021, trying to recover.
I know. Well, it's actually such an honor that you're here to grace our stage. And
thank you.
Just really like all the genres that you can sing and all the things that you can do. So tell us about those genres. Like it says you pop, rock, jazz, blues, and folk. I think there's one missing there. Classical. Opera.
I don't know how good I'd be at opera, to be honest with you, but I appreciate it, but I appreciate opera music, but I don't think I can pull that off.
You can't be a soprano and sing like Nessun Dorma with a guitar. So before we start talking, tell everyone who you are and give us a little bit of backstory.
Okay, well, I'm Michelle Marie LeBlanc. I live in Amherst, Nova Scotia, and I'm a mother of two daughters. One who's in her adult years, in her late 20s, and the other one is in her teens. And I've lived here my whole life. My parents, my dad's from Amherst, and my mom was actually born in England, so. They met in Ontario, and then they settled down here and raised their family. And so we've been like, I lived. I don't want to really say my age. I don't really want to give too much away about my age, but I'm getting up there. Let's just put it that way. But I've lived here all my life, and over the last 20 years, I started going back and forth to Ontario. For the last several years, doing a few months on, a few months off. But this is my home, and it always has been. And this town that I live in, just to give you an idea, it's filled with beautiful Victorian homes. And actually a lot of people from Ontario have been moving down to our area. Mm-hmm. It's a really historic town. And anyhow, it's actually, I don't know if you've ever heard of the Great Amherst Mystery, but it's a story about poltergeist, an alleged poltergeist situation, and there was a book written about it, and there's been plays done about it and everything. It's the Esther Cox story. Anyway, it originated here, and it was in Amherst, and so it's there's been a lot of people that have come out of this town. Feist is from here. We have Bill Riley. He was the first black NHL player, or the third NHL player that, and he was from Amherst, and I know Bill. He's a great guy. And Dwayne Johnson's father, Rocky Johnson's from this town. Yeah. So anyway, there's actually Sir Charles Tupper, the 6th Prime Minister of Canada, is from this town.
Well, that's excellent.
Yeah, and there's about there's just under 10,000 people. I think it's like 95 or something like that, or 96. I can't remember the exact number, but yeah, it's that's the population. So it's a town full of really great people, to be honest with
Yeah,
you. So yeah,
that's
yeah.
awesome. I remember when we met, you were strumming the guitar somewhere, and I said, "Wow, that's beautiful music." And
Oh,
we've known
thank
each
you.
other since.
Yes.
Um, it's really nice to hear that story about the Victorian homes. I love Victorian homes. We have some of them here in Mississauga, but not too much. But also, let me ask you about the various venues and events that you were as a solo act, and then you did a duo act with your friend and drummer Troy White. What's that
Mhm.
all about? Or what's the name of the band that you mentioned?
Well, we don't really have well, the band that I've formed, we haven't even
Mm.
decided on our band name yet.
Oh,
We
really?
are taking our time on that one because we haven't started doing shows yet. We're in the practicing phase, and we've been practicing for a while now. We want to be super tight when we get out, and we want to take our time figuring out that name. It matters, it's something that I want to really think through, and I know they do too. I have Wayne Reed on the guitar, and I have Steve Osmond on the drums, and I have Kent Noyles on the bass and keyboard, and myself on the guitar and singing, and they all do harmonies with me as well. So that's been fun. And with the duo, I've been playing with Troy White. I've played with Troy White for years. And him and Sandy Ackles and I play shows sometimes together too. And these guys are all from this area, and Troy and Sandy, I've known them my whole life. And so yeah, we have a lot of fun, and sometimes people just want one person. If it's a situation that's more low key, then I'll do solo. And yeah, I do a little
I
bit
got
of
a good name
everything.
for your band.
What's that?
ADD.
ADD.
Amherst Drummer Duo.
Oh my God,
Ladies and
Amherst.
gentlemen, ADD.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, yeah. It's funny because I've talked to Troy about giving us a name, and he oh, just say your name, and I'm like, "Are you sure?" Even when I played with him and Sandy, I used to say,
Oh,
should we do a name? And he's like, "No," he said, "just use your name." I would be great. I would be totally glad to, have a group name, but those guys
mhm.
just want to, yeah, do that. So
That's awesome.
yeah, yeah. But yeah, so I just kind of do a little bit of everything, and just what people need. If they need solo, then I'll do solo. If they need a band, then we do a band. The band, we're having a lot of fun playing. We've been
Mhm.
having a lot of fun, and we get together every week for the most part. And Christmas time, we took a little bit of a break, but we get together very regularly. So it won't be long before we're out playing. But yeah,
Well,
that
that's
band
awesome.
name, we need to get that straightened out at
I'll
some
think
point.
about that
But
one.
yeah,
But I like
yeah.
ADD though. No, I don't think
Yeah, you know
ADD.
what? We've kicked around a lot of ideas.
Mhm,
Actually, we have it's a long list of names
mhm.
actually that we came up with. But yeah, we'll see what happens. I'm not really sure what's. I just know that once you go there, once you pick that name, it's hard to go back. So I just want to make sure that we, get one that's representative of us all, but you know, fun, maybe simple. I'd like to go simple if we can. You know.
So let's talk about let's go back to when you were growing up before
Mm-hmm.
everything happened. Like start from there. Give us a little bit of lowdown on who Michelle Marie LeBlanc
Okay.
is. Who
Well,
is she? Who is she?
okay. Well, when I was a kid, I was, I had a really great childhood. I have to say, I was really lucky,
Mhm.
very lucky, and I know it. I know how lucky I was, and still am, to have family and friends that I've had growing up. And um, I used to like to dance and sit around the house a lot. I was that kid that used to like go and like. We lived on one of the busiest streets in Amherst, and I used to I used to go out on the front lawn and dance like for cars going by and stuff. I used to run around the house singing songs just a cappella, and
Yeah.
Anne Murray was a big like, I can't say enough good about Anne Marie. I talk about her all the time, but she really was a big influence, like musically. Like, we had her albums in the house all the time, and I sang them regularly. So I, I kind of used to perform those songs to the kids I would babysit, like in my teen years and stuff, just kind of round up all the kids and sing to them. And then I would, and then, as I got older, like after my teen years, I ended up becoming a mom quite young. And I was 20 when I had my first daughter. And I ended up singing, songs to her when she went to bed, and singing her to sleep and everything. I really enjoyed doing that. And then what happened was I went off to college after high school to take business management and entrepreneurship. I didn't go off. I just went to neighboring town, and I took business management and entrepreneurship. I was going to take over my parents' printing business because my dad and mom both ran that together. They did meet out in Ontario on a bus, actually, in Pickering. And they came back here, and they started that business, and they were in operation for 44 years. And
Wow.
my mom was an artist. She's passed away now. But my mom was an artist, and she did all the graphic work for the business. And she designed, honestly, like, a good chunk of the logos in this area that ever exist, like, it's existed for 44 years. There was a couple businesses for years, and then a dad ended up taking that one over, buying out that one or whatever happened there, and then another printing business came out for a while. But yeah, they did well, and they my mom, she just, did the art thing. My dad's personality, he was always out front, greeting the customers and whatnot. And the customers, I swear to God, would come back just to see dad. Dad's funny. He's so funny. He's a really funny man. So they were running that business, and I was going to take that business over, and I was going to make it a printing business / screen printing / embroidery, because at the time there was none of that in our area. We had to drive an hour away, or 45 minutes one way, or an hour that way, to get those things done. So I knew there was a market for it. But when I came back and I started working for my dad after school was over, I ended up going for a month and a half to work for one of my friend's mothers. She worked at Indigenous Affairs, and she needed a casual secretary to come in for a month and a half. And for casual, they don't have to run a competition. You can come in, and she knew I just had my business course and stuff, right? So I thought, okay, I'll go over and I'll do that, because I could come back to dad's. Let's be real. He was going to have me back if I left for a little bit, right? So I went over, and I loved it. I worked in executive services for her, and she was a director at the time. And it went really well, and I kept getting extended. And then I ended up working on reception. I worked in the records office. I worked as a admin officer. And then when I was on the front desk, there was a competition that came up for, well, let's just see here. I'm out of here. There was a competition that came up for term position in operational policy and intergovernmental affairs. And I won that competition and ended up coming to term position. And then I worked for 2 years in that unit, and we're with some really great people, some of the best friends that I've ever made ever in my life. And then I won a permanent position in capital management and housing. So I went over there, and I ended up I worked there for a bit. I was a housing officer, worked in as an audit and accountability officer, the coordinator for the agenda for action with First Nations chiefs in Atlantic Canada, and worked as secretary of financial arrangements. I was all over that building, really, to be honest with you. And they were some of the best years of my life. I loved my job a lot. And when I ended up getting married to my daughter's father, and we ended up not working out, but I ended up, after that, my grandmother was passing away at the same time. Like she wasn't well. And my health, it kind of went downhill a little bit. And then I ended up, taking some time off just to deal with that. And then I ended up going back to work. And when I went back to work in 2006, I was now with somebody else. And in 2006, we were having a baby. And I went off on maternity leave. And this was 11 years into my career. And I gave birth to my daughter. She almost passed away at childbirth. It was a really rough birth. And she had meconium in her lungs. And so she stopped breathing, and a local doctor here, Dr. Murray McCrossan, who's a great doctor, he saved her life. And then she ended up in the neonatal unit for 10 days after that, because there was a lung infection that took place because of her situation. So during that time, over the next 4 months, my health was deteriorating, and the childbirth was a really bad birth, like, I'll be honest, and it was way more painful than the first one. So I was thinking, like, I just didn't know why, but as the months went on, about 3 months after I gave birth, like I was getting to the point where I couldn't walk anymore. I was having pain in my chest, my belly, my back, my left leg, and my left hip, and it was severe. And my daughter, who was 12 at the time, she ended up going to her stepmom and saying, "I think my mom has cancer." And she said, "Why do you think that?" And she said, "Well, because of the Terry Fox story, and his leg was hurting and this and that." And she said, "Oh, don't worry," or whatever. But she came to me and she told me what Ashley had said. And
Wow.
anyway, I ended up, And then a month and a half later, I found out that I was sick. I had to be admitted into the hospital, and I stayed the night there. They started getting my pain under control, like when that night. And because at first when I went in, over those 4 months, we just assumed it was because I just gave birth, and that was probably why I was in so much pain, right? Because it made sense, right? But and I was very young, so we weren't thinking serious disease. We weren't thinking like that, right? And until it got so bad, and then we started to, I started to suspect anyway, because I knew what it was in my body. I knew how I felt, and I knew that something had to be wrong. And so did Ashley, was with me all the time. So she witnessed it. So she also knew that something had to be seriously wrong. Right. So when I got admitted to the hospital, I woke up the next morning, and my doctor came in, and at like 7 or 7:30 in the morning, shut the door behind him. And he looked really serious. And I said, "You look serious?" And he said, "I am." And I said, "Is it cancer?" And he goes, "It is, Michelle." And I said, "What kind do you think it is?" And he said, "I think it's lymphoma, but we're going to send you to the Moncton Hospital by ambulance today, and they're going to deal with you." And he sent me to Dr. Rubin, and Dr. Rubin is one of the best doctors. Like, honestly, I think he's internationally known. He's a really good oncologist. And he admitted me into the Moncton Hospital I was there over a month, and I wasn't allowed to pick up my baby anymore because I could break my back. And so if they did bring her by a couple times to see me, but I was really sick. I mean, so we ended up finding out that I had 2 masses in my chest, one in my liver. It was in my bones through my left hip and my T11 vertebrae. So it was all through me. And I was used a wheelchair and a walker for months. It was pretty bad, actually. We realized as soon as we found out that there was cancer in my bones, we had to be really I had to be really careful, because I could break my bones really easily. And so I got chemo. It took about a month before they could start treating me, because they had to put my line in. They have to do a lot of different stuff. They had to do several biopsies, bone marrow biopsies and chest and liver biopsies, just to make sure that they knew what exact kind it was. So it was stage 4 non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. And so they gave me chemo every 2 weeks, and they gave me iridia bone treatments through my PICC line. I didn't have to get radiation. I didn't have to get a transplant. So even though my situation was really bad, and I know it was really bad, but I could still look around the room and think, geez, there's some people in here that are going through transplants. And in a transplant, you know, they knock you down to nothing. Like, you know, your immunity is very low. You're very weak when you get a transplant. It knocks you right down, right? And then I thought I could be getting radiation, and chemo was horrible. Don't get me wrong. But it could have been worse. It could have been even worse than it was. And I remember talking to my daughter, and she was 12, right? And I remember saying to her, Mommy's going to lose her hair. And the hair was the least of my worries, like personally. Like I thought that's a bigger fish to fry than the hair thing. That's the least of my worries, really. But, you know, a 12-year-old, I wasn't sure how they were going to take the change, right? So I said, Mommy's going to lose her hair, and, you know, it's going to be, I'm going to look different. If you want me to wear a wig, I'll wear a wig. If you want me to wear a hat, I'll wear a hat. If you want me to wear a scarf, I'll wear a scarf. If you want me to go bald, I'll go bald. I'll do whatever you want me to do, and whatever makes you comfortable. I want you to be comfortable, right? And she looked at me and she said, it's going to be okay, Mom.
Oh.
It was sweet. It was 12-year-old. She's always been so wise. Why am I telling you this? She's always been so wise. Both my kids are like that.
I can imagine how you felt during that time.
Yeah, it was really nice. It was she was so strong through that period of time, and she went back and forth to our house and to her dad's, and she always went back and forth anyway. But you know, like her dad, they were great. And in Anna's case, you know, she, for the whole first year of her life, she went back and forth between my parents and my husband's parents. And my second husband's parents. And yeah, they took really good care of her. And then, you know, I couldn't go back to work. You know, that type of work, I still had a lot of health issues, and I still do to this day. I have chronic health problems that aren't going to go away, but they're not things I can't, like, you know, I'm lucky to be here. So I don't like to I really don't like to complain. I'm not saying I never complain about, you know, different things, but I really try not to, because I know how lucky I am to be here. And I know that I lost my mom right after I was sick to cancer, and she fought it for 2 years and then passed away. So I know how fortunate I am to be here. I lost a friend at that time too, a dear friend, and she was young, and she fought cancer for a really long time, for like 7 years, I think it was. And so, you know, she had, you know, a lot that went on. And so I know I'm fortunate, but I also was very realistic in knowing that as much as I loved my job, people depended on me a lot for that kind of work. And daytime is the worst time, like, for me. That's why music seems to work for me, because a lot of it is later on in the day, and by that time I'm coming around a little bit. But you know, and I can schedule it so that I don't, you know, overwork myself. I can do it in a smart way, you know what I mean? But when you're working an office job, a 9-to-5 office job, and you have a lot of people depending on you, you know, and you have to sit in meetings that sometimes last 3 days, like an all chiefs meeting could last 3 days, and I could be doing the minutes on a laptop verbatim, listening to everybody, right? Like, and I can't just not be feeling well all the time and calling in sick all the time. And I knew it. Right. And so I had to stop working there, but I miss it bad, really bad. But I think that everything happens for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why I stayed at the department and didn't go back to take over mom and dad's business was in those first few months of working at the department, I looked at it and I thought, wow, I've learned so much already in these past few months about indigenous people in this country, about the government relationship between government of Canada and the First Nations in this country. And these are things that I didn't know a lot about before I worked there. And you know what? The education system needs to be adjusted to
Agree.
teach people at a young age. It's not that we didn't. I remember in grade 6 we covered some stuff about Mi'kmaq people, and we talked about, like, we had to bring in models, we'd make little news and TP things, and that was great. And I wanted to learn about that stuff, but there's a lot of things that we needed to learn about that we weren't taught. And these are the things that are very important. They're very important. We need to understand the history, and it shouldn't be an elective course. This shouldn't be you can take history if you want, or it should be, you're going to take this because this is important, and we need to understand everything there is to understand about the history there. I can't stress it enough. There has to be changes with the education system to reflect the reality of the situation. And I'm very passionate about that. But it's hard not working there anymore. But I know that things happen for a reason, and it was a learning experience for me to work at Indigenous fairs. And when I worked there, I got to I received training in all different areas. Like, there were a lot of areas that I received training in, and I got to travel, got to meet lots of really amazing people, and participate in some really great things. I'm telling you, it was such a good learning experience. And I thought, not that I didn't want to take over the printing business, but the reality is, when you take a printing business over, the overhead costs associated with that are insane. You could have a printing press breakdown. You could have, a laser copier breakdown. These things cost money, and you have a response for paying people. And when I went to work for Indigenous Affairs, you have benefits. You have, you can move up. You can work in all kinds of different areas. You can learn a lot, and you can help people, and you make the world a better place.
Is that so?
And I just thought, you know what, this is an opportunity that has been come my way for whatever reason, and that's what I did at that time. And now the music thing is an opportunity that came for whatever reason, and that it doesn't mean I can't care about those things that we worked on before and try to make a difference somehow in my way.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm on this path, the music path now. I can't explain why I got sick. I just did. And I've always loved music, and I've always wanted to write music, and I've always wanted to, perform in front of people.
Yeah.
And it's funny, when I got sick there, that's one more thing about that. I got asked to do the Survivor talk at the Relay for Life after that, right after I was sick. And I think I was still wearing a cancer cap, like a little hat on and stuff. And I was terrified, because even though I like to jump around on the lawn and perform for people and stuff, I used to go and I don't know. I used to go to school, and when it came speech time in English class, I'd be like, no way, I'll take the 0. I'm not doing it. Nobody's going to care about what I have to say for that long. Right. And I was just really scared. But after I got sick, there was a part of me that realized that I could be gone in 2 years. Like, I don't know how much longer I'm gonna live, right?
Was it like a one day at
And
a time for you?
yeah,
Like
it
when you
was, and it
realized,
still is. It still is.
yeah.
It still is a one day at a time thing.
Hmm.
And, um, I didn't know how long I was gonna be here for. I didn't know if my cancer was gonna come back, but I knew one thing, fear was not gonna prevent me from doing the things that I wanna do anymore. And so
I'm
when they
right.
asked me to do that survivor thing, that's a big
Hmm.
honor. That's a big honor to be asked to do that talk and to, talk to your fellow survivors and cancer survivors that have just gone through so much as well, and then you're talking to everybody's family, and it's a big honor. And I had 3 days to think about it. For the first 2 days, I was like, there's no way I'm doing this. There's no way I'm doing this. I can't get up in front of all those people and do that speech. I can't. And then the last day, I thought, I'm going to regret it for the rest of my life if I don't do this. And I need to pull it together and put my big girl panties on. And that's exactly how I thought about it. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to do it. And I did it. And it was one of the most rewarding things, personally rewarding things I've ever done in my life. And I sing at that Relay for Life every year. It's very special to me,
I
the
I
people that
take
are
it to real
involved.
life. I take it to Relay for Life is like it's sort of like a charity for those who have cancer, or for just a charity for people who
It's
are
for the
sick.
Cancer Society,
It's for the Cancer Society.
yeah,
Okay.
and they put money towards research. There's all
Yeah.
kinds of things that they put money, all kinds of, yeah, different stuff that they put. You can apply for. I know that when I was sick, I applied through the Victory program to get funding because I'd get needles every day to keep my blood count up so they could
Yeah.
treat me on schedule. They cost thousands of dollars. They're not cheap. They're a prescription. You get them as a prescription, and they have to administer them in your home every day. You can get it done in the hospital, and MSI will cover that. But every time you go to the hospital with a low immune system, you're putting yourself at risk.
That's
And
true.
so you have to get the needles home, really, if you don't want to take those kinds of chances. And plus, like, I was not very mobile because of my situation being in my bones and stuff. So going to the hospital was a big ordeal for me to go up there after I was released to go home. So yeah, it just, didn't, it
How
wouldn't have
did,
worked out.
okay, that's awful, but how did you find music? Like, how did you end up picking up a guitar, not a violin or a trumpet or piano?
Actually, do you want to know something funny? You probably never pictured this one. This is going to throw you. I'm sure I never told you this, but when I was in band in high school, we had two choices for instruments, and I thought, okay, I'm going to pick the clarinet or the baritone. Well, I didn't know what a baritone was. I was just a kid. I was like, it's grade 7. I don't know what baritone was. And I thought it was like a miniature French horn or something.
Hmm.
I thought it was much smaller than what it was. And so they come out with this actually, I was told it was a euphonium. I didn't even know that was the actual name of it. I was, because they called it a baritone when they handed it to me, but
Hmm.
they brought it out and they set it down, and I said, "What's that?" And they said, "That's your instrument." I said, "That's not my instrument." And they said, "Yeah, you asked for the I said, that look like clarinet, me, or baritone." And they said, "This is your baritone." And I'm like, "That's the baritone." You couldn't see me behind it. It was like it's a miniature tuba, right? Like, you could not see
Yeah,
me behind this thing. It was hilarious. It was the funniest thing.
that's
Honest
funny.
to God, it was really funny because you could just see me peeking out from Anthony Fromm, a friend of mine that I grew up with. He used to sit beside me, and you couldn't see me. You could see him better because he was a little taller. But anyway, it was just funny. But I played that, and then I also horsed around the organ and synthesizer and piano and stuff. And eventually, mom and dad, they ended up getting a grand piano, but we always had like synthesizers and stuff in the house. And I always did it by ear and taught myself a little bit, like to read music and stuff. And I learned some music stuff in school, right? So that helped me, try to figure everything out. But I would have to go and I'd have to put write out all the chords at the time, like,
Hmm.
to do all the tabulature and stuff, like, and on, when I'm playing guitar, even like when I'm playing guitar, or when I'm reading sheet music, I'm for the piano, I would have to go and just jot it down first, I think. Well, maybe not
Hmm.
now, but back then I did, like, when I was growing up. So I was kind of horsed around that. And then when I was 29, I always wanted to sing, right? So I ended up getting, believe it or not, I ended up getting a karaoke machine when my first husband and I broke up for Christmas from
Really?
my dad.
Wow.
He was like, "You don't need what are you going to use a karaoke machine for?" I said, and this is before I played the guitar, right?
Hmm.
He said, "You're not going to use the karaoke machine." And I said, "Dad, I would love to have a karaoke machine." So believe it or not, I'd put my daughter to bed and I sit there by myself and sing like in the dark, sing like several nights a week, just to because I loved singing. I just loved singing so much. And that was when I really started to think, oh geez, I should learn an instrument. I should learn the guitar, like because you find out what you're capable of vocally when you're in a room by yourself with a
Hmm.
microphone and nobody can hear you. You know what I mean? Nobody's around. That's the best time to try it. Like, and just
Yeah.
give it all hell, you know what I mean? And see what you can do. And that's kind of what I did for years. And then at 29, I picked up the guitar and started learning because of a friend of mine, Legier. He ended up encouraging me to do it. He got me a guitar actually, and that I used for a long time, and then I taught myself a handful of songs. And then I
Oh.
went into Drew Moore, who's a local musician and a singer-songwriter here in Amherst, and he's a great man, and he's really talented, and he taught me guitar lessons every week. I went in the first week and I had a CD full of songs, and I said, actually, no, I think I had one or three. I don't know. I had a lot of songs though. And I gave them to him. And I said, I want to learn all these songs. And I know that I'm not going to be capable of learning all of them at once, um, like right now, but we can pick through them and you can maybe tell me what you think I can do when I
Hmm.
can. I said, I can show you what I'm able to do right now. So you know where I am technically, and then we can go from there. So every week we would try to pick off anywhere from 1 to 3 songs, most of the time 2. And then if it was a really hard song, it'd be 1. If they were easy songs, because sometimes I couldn't tell if they're going to be easy or hard, right? By listening to them, I'm no Drew Moore, that's for sure. So I would just get him to come, check it out or whatever. And I got lessons from him for years.
Excellent.
And yeah, I'm glad it's the best thing I ever did for myself, honestly, was get those lessons. One of the best things I ever
Yeah.
did for
And now
myself.
look where you are. You're like playing venues and singing and writing your own songs. Tell us about there's 2 songs here. So there's one called Come Back to You.
Mhm.
That was inspired by what, the one that you wrote with
Rocky
Rocky
Ripley.
Ripley? Yeah.
Mhm. He's a singer-songwriter, producer from Amherst, and he is a really talented musician as well. I was really lucky to do that with him. We did it for a project called Artists of Amherst, and they got all kinds of artists, and they wrote music for everybody. Wrote music for the CD, and they sold the CD to raise funds for. It was a youth band, or I think it was a youth the band, the high school band, if I'm
Hmm.
not mistaken. Anyhow, we had to write a song, and it was supposed to be something to do with Amherst in some way. That didn't mean you had to sing about, you know, Amherst itself, but like a story intertwined with Amherst somehow and whatnot. So I just remember going back to when I was sick. I just remember when I left that day, the day that I found out I was sick. I left that day in an ambulance. I didn't think I was coming back.
Mm.
I thought that I was going to die in Moncton, is what I thought, to be honest with you, because it was stage 4. There is no stage 5, right? So
Yeah.
I was on my last legs with this situation, you know, and because of the pain I was in, I knew it was bad because it really was severe pain, and I ended up on the way up. I was just really emotional because I thought there's going to be certain people, because some people will come up to see me in Moncton, but I also knew that there'd be people that wouldn't be able to necessarily come up, or maybe wouldn't feel comfortable coming up
Hmm.
because I was so sick or whatnot. And I thought, gosh, I'm not, the thoughts of not never seeing those people again broke my heart into a million pieces. And so when I came back over a month later, I remember that day very well. And we were driving home from Moncton, and me and my husband at the time. And the closer I got to Amherst, the more emotional I got. we would pass by certain parts, like we passed by Allac, which is our town is right on the border of New Brunswick and Nova Scotia. So Allac is like before we cross the border, and it's between Moncton and Amherst,
Yep.
Moncton, New Brunswick. So on the way back, I just remember we passed Allac and I was getting emotional. And then we passed by, Frenchie's used clothing stores on the outskirts of our town. We passed by there. I started getting more emotional because I'm driving into town now. I've just been through a crazy ordeal and I'm still going through it. And I was just overcome with emotions. And I was so glad to be coming back to this town and to be able to see the people that I, didn't think I was going to be able to see again. And geez, I came home and there was a cake there that my daughter's stepmother and her made for me. And they got me daisies and they made a great big welcome home poster and stuff. And it was beautiful. And I just remember being so emotional. So the song's called Came Back to You. And it's about coming back to Amherst.
There's another song that about you recorded and produced by Juno Award-winning Canadian composer, record producer, musician Norman Ornstein. It's called Fisher's Field. What's that one about?
Yeah, Fisher's Field. I wrote that song, and then Norman, he recorded it out there in Ontario. Fisher's Field is written about. Okay, so I have a cottage, right? It's a Seagrove Beach. It's on the Northumberland Strait, and we had this summer cottage our whole lives. I think I was 5 years old or something when we got that place, and everybody out there is like family. I mean, all my parents' best friends live out there. My best friends lived out there too. And my best friend actually had cottage right next door, and another best friend down 2 doors down, and then another one around the corner. We were all like family out there, really. And there's this a guy, a good friend, his name is Andrew Fisher. His family ran. They have a cottage up the other end of the beach, and they had this beautiful field out in front of their cottage. And also I have other friends that were on that field as well, but we always referred to this field as Fisher's Field, and it was always well groomed, and it was a big field, and it was right on the water, right overlooking the water, and they had a really good section of the beach too, like for swimming and stuff. It was really good part of the beach. And then there was rose bushes and lupins and stuff down the center of it, like right down the center of the field, and then a big field on the other side. So we all used to play football. We used to just hang out in that field, camp out. Sometimes we'd have bonfires down on the beach. We would parties, some pretty great parties down on the beach at times. But we definitely had a lot of fun out at that beach, I can tell you, as teenagers. And I always thought it was a special place to me, and that field in particular, because so many memories happened in that field. And so I thought I'd like to write a song about. I knew I wanted to write a song about something about the beach and that life, in a way, in a sense. And I wanted there to be a story there, but I wanted to write a song that involved that special place for me. Yeah.
Well, we like to hear what we want to hear. Fisher's Field.
Okay.
Can't wait.
You and I, we've been friends for a while. Oh, it's gotta be a good 30 years. I guess you could say that we kinda grew up together. I still love you just as I did back then. filled with you. Watch the stars, smoke cigars, and laugh all night. Hold your hand, never caring about what people say. Just as long as I can hold this blanket next to you. You will make my dreams come true. One walk down the beach and take your troubles away. As the moon shines against the water so bright. Start a fire, I fantasize, I realize. All I see is your eyes in the flames. I wanna lay down in fissures filled with you. Watch the stars, smoke cigars, laugh all night. Hold your hand, never caring about what people say. Just as long as I wake up on this blanket next to you. You will make my dreams come true. So many times I push my feelings aside, not recognizing you're the one for me. I'll always love you, I will love you till the day I die.
That was amazing. That was
Oh,
powerful.
thank you so
Can't
much.
believe someone such a miracle as you to survive stage 4 cancer. And still 15 years later you are here playing for us, changing the world around you, making people feel good and happy
Oh,
and
thank you,
excellent.
Chris.
That's awesome. And your story, it was amazing. It was powerful. And just look, you got the smile on your face. You're checking to make sure that your music comes out perfectly.
Thank you. I'm looking for my drink. I had not an alcoholic drink. I thought about having an alcoholic drink, but I thought, well, maybe I shouldn't.
Yeah,
Especially when I'm being interviewed. We're probably not a good idea.
yeah, you've written so many songs, Michelle. And just to let you know, we're so delighted that you're here.
Thank
Sorry, I
you.
mean talking about cancer and to say you're delighted to be here in the same sentence. It's like, I mean, delighted that you're here playing music. That's what I meant. But it's
Thank
so
you.
wonderful to have you.
I'm just gonna grab a drink. Do you mind if I just quickly grab my drink? It's right there. I just have to walk away
Go
from the
ahead,
camera
go
for
ahead,
one
go ahead.
second. But if I'm gonna be singing, I should probably have a little drink beside me. But it was right
Excellent.
beside me. I don't know what I've done with it. Just give me 1
Go
second.
ahead. Amazing. Yeah, just enjoyed that song, Fisher's Field, and really appreciated Michelle's uh, testimony there. Was awesome. And we will wait for her. When she comes back, she's got some other music to play. So, hello. Oh, is that a Coke?
Yes, it is. It's Coke Zero.
That is bad for you.
I know. If there's a vice that I have that I need to stop, it's pop.
Same
That's
me.
my addiction. It's just
So,
Diet
so
Pepsi usually, but
I'd rather have music be your addiction than to have this awful syrup stuff, which I stopped drinking anyway. Um, Beautiful song, Michelle Fisher's Field.
thank
Awesome.
you.
Wow. You're such a blessed, talented artist. I'm so
Thank you
glad
so
that
much.
you're here. I'm so glad that I know you. And I'm so happy that I was able to get you. How long did it take to even get you on the podcast? Probably like 4 months. You were
Yeah,
always busy.
yeah,
And then
yeah.
suddenly, boom,
I'm sorry about that.
that's all
Yeah,
right.
especially the end of the year. That's the busiest time.
I
And
know.
December
It's
is a really busy
so
month for
glad.
me. I'm usually,
Okay,
yeah.
so there's also another song that you recorded called "Together We Can."
Mhm.
Can you let us know the background of that one? How that came to
Sure.
be?
So this is kind of funny because, you know, I have to say, I'm so appreciative of Hal Davidson. He's a friend of mine, and he's a local town councilor and deputy mayor in our town, and great guy. I mean, Hal is just a very good man, and he came to me. He was running for his seat, and he needed somebody to sing at his announcement for his
Mhm.
campaign, and he wanted a song that represented his views, of this idea of working together, and um, you know, he wanted to, us to be bold. He wanted to be accountable. He wanted accountability. He thought he has all kinds of great ideas for this town, and he's a really smart man. I mean, he's coached hockey. He's a really, really good guy to be in that position for us. Like, that our town is fortunate. We're really lucky to have him. And anyway, he needed this song, and I had 2 weeks before the event.
Wow.
And so I was like, okay, he didn't have to have the song. He said, I said, well, do you want me to write it? And he said, yeah. He said, if you can write the song, that'd be great. I'd love that. And so I said, okay, well, I'll try. I said, because I can't always, I might not have. I didn't want to promise him just in case it didn't come together, right? Because I was thinking, you never know, right? With creativity, when it's gonna hit and stuff. I'm getting more used to now doing it on the spot, but sometimes creativity just escapes you sometimes, right? And I wasn't sure. Just was scared to commit 100% just in case it didn't work out right. So I ended up doing it. And I said, if I can't get it done, I'll do a cover that represents those views. And 2 nights before, it was a Wednesday that we had to do the event. And on Monday night, or sorry, early Monday morning at 1 a.m., I woke up in the morning and wrote the song, and in the middle of the night, and sent it to him at 8 in the morning. And then he came back and he said he really liked the song. And so 2 days later, I performed it in front of, you know, all the people that were at his announcement. And I ended up recording it and stuff. And, you know, sometimes that's the best way to, I'm realizing now that when the pressure's on, it tends to come to me easier. I feel like, you know, I had a deadline and I had to get it done, and I didn't have to, but I really wanted to do that for him. Right. I really wanted to make him happy with it. And so, anyway, so I did. And, yeah, so it seemed to go okay. And I'm glad I recorded it. I'm really glad that he came to me and asked me to do it. It was an honor to do that. A big honor.
Well,
So yeah.
someone wants to say hi to you.
Hi, how are ya? How you doing? Can you hear me?
Yeah, he's watching.
Hi,
Hey,
Mondo.
Armando. Hi, Mundo. Michelle's here.
Happy New
So-
Year.
So,
I
yeah.
didn't know we could get people in. That's awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Aw, I
Definitely.
miss you.
I'm sure he misses you too.
I miss you so much.
And yeah, so together we can. So let's hear that one.
Okay. I traveled around, God knows I've covered a lot of ground, but nowhere compares to this place I call home. We have all we need, now let's plant some more seeds and build on the good work that's already been done. I've seen us pull together in good times and bad. We have a lot to offer, let's give it all we have. Together we can. Together we can. Together we can. Together we can. Let's be accountable, be a little more bold. Let's collaborate so we can generate and share our ideas. Let's unite together as we get better. Let's grow and let's learn from each other. We can share our ideas. I've seen us pull together in good times and bad. We have a lot to offer. Let's give it all we have. Together we can. Together we can. Together we can. Together we can. With a little positivity, creativity, diversity, we can do anything.
Woohoo! Excellent. I
Thank you.
love that one.
Thank you.
Together we can. I know.
It's little. I like that. You know, it's funny because it does get stuck in your head a little bit. That part, the hook. I like it. I like it. It was a lot of fun to do that song, and I had my friends Troy and Sandy record on it with me as well. I recorded that at the Groove Factory in Amherst. It's good friends of mine. I run that studio. Davy Good, Jill Good, and Kim Good is her daughter. She's a really good friend of mine, and they have a rockabilly band called the Shakedown Combo, and they run that studio.
Mhm.
So Chris Thomas, he does the producing and engineering there and stuff, and he recorded that for me, and he's excellent. I really liked working with them, and they were always really accommodating down there for me, you know, and yeah, so it was good. It was good.
So
I was happy.
what's the best place that you like to play? What is it, like bars or Irish pubs? Do you like playing at venues? What's the best place you've been invited to sing at and play? You
Oh
just loved
gosh.
it. You were like,
You
oh.
know what? You know what? One of my favorite things that I've ever done. Well, first of all, let me just start by saying I love ceremonial type things. I do
Mhm.
and to be honest with you, as morbid as this might sound, I like doing funerals. Sometimes I sometimes get asked to do people's
Really? How do you
memorial
do that?
services or
How do you,
celebrations for lives. You know what? I
that's,
love doing it. I love doing it because you know what? There's very little you can do for people when they lose somebody that's dear to them. There's very little you can do. You feel very helpless in that moment and you want to help them in any way you can. And if that's something that I can do for them that helps them, shed some tears or, is meaningful to them and helps them remember their loved one, I'm all for it. And I like doing weddings too. Like I like singing people down the aisle and things, but my favorite thing that I think I've done in terms of like, oh gosh, this is really tough. It's really tough because I love playing a bar and I love playing traveling to Ontario, like doing that and stuff. But I really enjoyed playing at a tribute concert for Anne Marie.
well, yeah,
It
that's
was,
right. You did meet her. I remember the picture of you
yeah.
and her together.
Okay.
Wow.
So that
It's like
was
the day that I met Martin Sheen in Toronto. I have a picture of me. I met him down in 1986. He was filming the movie The Believers. And I was down there at the time. My brother was down there. He had the camera at the time. It was kind of like a perfect moment. We had a picture taken. This was 1986. I was like, oh, I'm not going to tell you my age. It was 1986, and there's a picture of me and him together. And I'm like, wow. And I'm thinking, why don't I just print it out? And then he's like, what, in his 80s now? And say, hey, do you remember this picture? No, I don't even know who you are. Who are you? Oh, sorry, that
That's
was
awesome.
45 years ago. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. That's
But
awesome.
yeah, it
Well, you
was.
know
And
what? When you get to meet that person that's meant so much to you. I mean, she was everything to me when I was growing up, right? I mean, as I said, I listened to her music constantly, and it was the first concert I ever went to. And my mom took me. I was 10 years old. It was at the Moncton Coliseum, and I saw her up on stage, and I thought I would love to do that. Like I honestly like it made me dream to do that, and my mom was the reason I had those records in the house. She was the one that she loved Anne Marie. And she brought Anne Marie into our home, right? And we had a lot of records in our home because of both parents. Like we had Elvis, just like all kinds of stuff. Like I could go on about that. But the Anne Marie albums were there because of my mom. And my mom was very big, but both my parents were really busy running this business, right? So there weren't a lot of we had a nanny growing up for 18 years. And because my parents, they knew they were going to be busy doing this business and stuff. And they knew that like I had a brother growing up too. And then I had another brother that I found out a little later, but the one I grew up with, we were in the house together. We needed somebody to take care of the day-to-day stuff. And our nanny, Susan, she was like a second mom to me. She was wonderful with us kids, and she'd stay Monday to Friday and stuff. And I didn't get to go off with my mom too often, And they were also like, they curled, they golfed, they did a lot of stuff. So we didn't get to go off doing things, just her and I together, too often. And so that Anne Murray thing was something that we did together. So fast forward to when my mom was dying, right? Like, and we knew from day one when she found out she had cancer, we knew in 2 years she was, or we didn't know in 2 years, but we knew they gave her 3 to 6 months to live if she didn't take chemo, and a year she did. So she took chemo and she lasted 2 years. So not long before she passed away, I remember saying to her, and the priest was over that day too, like, and talking to us. And I remember saying, this is going to sound crazy, but we need to get a sign straight. Like, I want a sign straight. I want to figure out what our sign is so that when you're gone and you present yourself to me, because I believe in that. My grandmother, I could go on all day about that. That's a whole other conversation about signs that I've gotten after people have passed away, from that they're there with me still. And I knew that there'd be a sign, but I wanted to get it straight before she passed away, so I'd know if it was her or Granny or who it was, right? And I ended up getting her. She said, "Michelle, you'll know." My mom said, "You'll know it's me." And I said, "I don't know, because I get a lot of signs from Granny and this and that." And she goes, "No, you'll know." And the priest agreed with her. So after she passed away when she was 64, right? Just right before her 65th birthday. And she was mad as oh hell, because she just wanted one pension check. she was just about there, and she was so upset about that. Actually, she was, worked her whole life, worked her butt off. And anyway, when she was, she passed away, and then on her, what would have been her 69th birthday, I had to play at this tribute concert for Anne Murray in her hometown of Spring Hill, which is 15 minutes from my town. And she also has a home down in Pugwash, which is like 40 minutes from where I live. It's not very far at all. It's on the Northumberland Strait as well. She's, was my hero growing up, literally. So I was like, I'm pumped to sing at this concert, right? And I had to sing an original, and I had to sing an Anne Murray song, and all kinds of performers performed at that event. And it was at the arena, and I sang Danny's song, even though it was written by Kenny Loggins. But the reason I knew Danny's song was because of Anne Murray, because I thought she sang that song beautifully, and I'm sure Kenny Loggins would even agree with that. I know he does. Did you see her documentary? I don't know if you saw her documentary, but you need to see that if you haven't. Anyway, I sang that song, and I sang that I Came Back to You, and that day, right before the concert, she was meeting fans over at the Anne Murray Center, which is just up the street, right? So I said to my Aunt Sharon, I said, "We got to go meet Anne Murray, because if I don't get to meet Anne Murray today, I'm going to be devastated. I need to meet Anne Murray. Like, this is the day. This is it. It's happening." And it was my mom's 69th birthday. So I'm standing in the lineup, and I'm like the second to last person in the lineup. And we get up there, and by the time I get up to her, I got tears in my eyes, literally. Partly because I was so excited to see Anne Murray and meet her finally. Like, I don't want to meet her my entire life. I lived 15 minutes from her and 40 minutes the other way, and I never ran into her. It was amazing. I couldn't believe I hadn't run into her ever, right? And so I was like so pumped about this. And so I was emotional because of that, but I was also emotional because I felt like my mom orchestrated this whole experience.
She probably did.
And I felt like she did it on her birthday so that I would know that she orchestrated this whole experience. I truly believe that. Maybe I'm wrong, but I was so emotional, and I'm sure Anne Murray thinks I'm an idiot probably now. Like, because I was like crying by the time I got up to her, but I was so happy. I can't even tell you how happy I was.
You know what? Martin Sheen is not my favorite actor. So it's not like I had a picture taken with him. I'm like, that's it. That was the extent of me. I'm not really much into any of his. Well, maybe one or two, but because Kirk Douglas was in one of them, that's why.
Yeah.
But I don't think I've met any other singers. I went to a Josh Groban concert, and the only way that he would talk to you is if you had the front rows. But I was like way in the back, and he was that size when you were like the big total venue. I never really met anybody big like that, but yeah, that was good that you met Anne Murray.
And I got to sing for Ronnie Hawkins at his house with
Oh, Ronnie
Chris.
Hawkins.
So Chris, my experiences with Chris and company, like all the musicians that played
Chris
played
Partland.
Collins, and Chris Partland. And I love to play at Timothy's Pub in Tobico. I love the crowd there. I love the Tim. He's a great guy. The
Don't
staff there,
forget
they're
the one
great.
that we went to see you play, just right on Brown's Line there. That was good.
Yeah,
That's where we met.
that's
That's where we met
Timothy's.
your aunt.
Timothy's Pub,
Yeah.
and that I loved it, and I've sang on Chris's shows at Collins and St. James Gate in Toronto and Collins and Streetsville and stuff, and Chris introduced me to a ton of people, and I'll be forever grateful for everything he did for me. He got me in the studio up there. That was what happened at the very beginning when I first started going back and forth. See, I was up there for a family reunion, and I was up there for a month, like to visit family, because I have tons of family up there on both sides. And I was up there and I met him in like the third week, and he knew my Aunt Judy from, their younger days, because Judy's best friend in high school dated GP Partland, who fronted the Partland brothers with Chris. And so we walked in and he's like, "Oh, Judy," we went over and I met him, and she said, my niece here, she sings and blah, blah, blah. So I got up and I sang Turn Me On by Norah Jones. And anyway, I kept asking me to sing another one. And every show I went to, and it was usually like 2 or 3 shows. Like he'd do the 2 shows at Collins a week on a Thursday and Sunday. Plus he would do St. James Gates on Fridays sometimes, right? Mm-hmm. And he also did singer-songwriter night. It was called Purple Heather at the time. It's called the 5 Points now, I think it is, something like that, in Burlington. So we did songwriter circle night together. And so all of his shows he was getting me up to play on. And that really got me to know his audience and them to know me. And I got to meet so many musicians through him, like Sil Simone,
that is amazing.
Pat Kennedy.
Yeah, I actually
Kathleen Lovett. Like they're really great musicians
awesome.
up there.
Yeah.
And
excellent.
So he took me up to Ronnie's Hawkins place. And it's funny because we went in. I got to tell you this right quick. So we go in, and we went up really early in the morning, right? And it was up in Stony Lake, I think that was the place he lived in. And he sold the place now, but at the time he was living there. So we went in, and his wife, Wanda, who's a beautiful person, she met us in the kitchen. She hugged us, and she never even met me before. And she just put her arms right around me, very welcoming. And she said, just go down to the hall, because Ronnie hangs out in his bedroom, right? Like because it's cozy down there, and he's got furniture down there and stuff and whatnot. So we went down, and or I went down, and I thought Chris was already down there, right? And so I walk down the hallway, and I walk in, and there's Ronnie sitting on his bed, and then there's one of his guitar players and friends, and a guy that works on his, like, at his property and stuff, and I go, "Hey," like this, right? And I don't know if you thought somebody sent a hooker or stripper or what, because this random girl just walks into his room like, "Hey," and I put jeans on, and so anyway, he's like, I didn't know who the heck I was. And I go, "I'm Chris's friend." And he goes, "Oh, Christine." So Chris came in, and eventually, like, he must have been in the washroom or something, I'm thinking, right? And so I ended up playing Turn Me On for him, but in Landside. But before I played those songs, I played Linda Ronstadt, one more.
I love Linda Ronstadt.
One more. Oh my God, I can't remember the name of that song.
It's terrible what happened to her, though. She can't sing anymore.
I love Linda Ronstadt, man. I just love her.
Too bad that we're not going to hear her voice anymore.
Long time, not one more time. Long time. He sang it with me. Ronnie did. Yeah. Linda Ronstadt's awesome. She's amazing.
Not now. I mean, she's like ill right now, and she lost her voice, or can't, because she's got what does she have? I think she has MS or something. Anyway, she can't sing anymore. But that's That's interesting that, Ronnie Hawkins, you
But,
went.
but it was really nice. Like it was, and
Yeah.
of course I didn't nobody filmed it like that part. Like we did do some videos that day, but I didn't ask anybody to film it when we were singing it together. Like I was playing and singing, and he was singing along with me, and he really likes that song. And
Yeah.
he was so sweet. He goes, how you doing, Michelle? And I said, oh, I'm doing pretty good. And he goes, well, you can't be doing too good. Or he said, you can't find yourself a whole pair of pants, because my pants I have ripped
Yeah.
jeans on or whatever. Anyway, but he's got a great sense of humor, and so that was one of my favorite things that I've ever done musically, like I gotta say. And then I've I played the pubs up there, played pubs down here, like all the local pubs I play
Yeah.
at. And I really enjoy going in the studio. I really like doing stuff like that. I really enjoyed getting in the studio with Norman Ornstein too, up in Ontario, in Toronto. I randomly met him. It's funny. I went out to see a friend's show, Craig August Knight. You might have seen him play. Tall guy, long hair. He's always at Collins. Plays
Is he the one that looks like Alex Winter?
Mustache, long, really tall,
Like one of
long,
the
straight hair.
Dusty Hill from ZZ Top, right?
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay,
Yeah,
I know the
yeah,
guy.
I
Yeah.
guess so. Yeah. So he's a great guy, a really good guy, and he
Did I
was
say Alex
playing.
Winter? I meant Edgar Winter. Sorry.
Yeah, he was
Go ahead.
playing today tonight. There was
Mhm.
on Queen Street, and it was
Yeah.
called Today Tonight, I think, at the time. I think because it's
So
coffee shop, half bar, and it was on Queen Street, and he was playing, and I went in, and I saw him. Sally and I have a friend of mine, Sally Fusulo. She's from, you might know her actually, from Brampton. She's a great girl. She's so fun, so much fun. Anyway, she knows everybody literally up there. She knows everybody in the Streetsville, Brampton, Toronto. She's just all over the place. She knows everybody. But
you ever played at Armando and I knew of somebody named Natty. She used to own a bar down here called Natty's Bar and Grill, which is gone now. And I don't know if she was there. Like, when did you start performing at pubs? That was after 2008, right? I think so. I think I don't think you would have
yeah,
known her.
yeah, it was after
Yeah.
2008, because I was still like, it was 2007 when I got my treatments.
Oh yeah.
So
Okay.
yeah,
So
yeah,
that was she was way before you. So
yeah.
no, okay, that's interesting. That's excellent. So I
Um,
hear some news
what?
that you never told us, and I'm just finding out recently that there's a song that you're going to have a new single coming out. What's it called? Clarity or
Claire,
something? Yeah,
yeah.
that sounds like that's going to be an interesting song. Can you give us a little bit background about that one?
Yep. Uh, well, I can tell you how it came about anyway. I mean, it was kind of a last minute song that I did, to be honest with you. I had to do a few videos for City of Brampton, for Vibrant Brampton, the E-Fest that they put on the last couple of years. And usually they do it live, like in the square there, where they do the jazz festival, the big stage. You've probably seen that, been around there, right?
Mm-hmm.
They do the Sea Fest, and they asked me to do these videos. So I sent a couple videos in, and one of them was in my bed, but one of them was Clarity. And that morning, see, I had songs. It's not that I didn't have songs that I wanted to send, but I really wanted to write a new song for this. Just for this project, I just wanted to write a new song. I wanted to have something new. So I woke up that morning, and I ended up sometimes what I'll do is I'll put chords on my voice recorder, right? I'll just record some chords that come to me, or if I'm fiddling around with the guitar, and I'll just record it and come back to it sometimes months, sometimes years later, like
Wow.
really. And or weeks, or maybe days. It could be anything. And I found this. It was like the second song I played, or the first or second song. Like it came pretty quickly. Like I ended up like finding it pretty quick, and I thought, oh, I wouldn't mind using those chords. And so I got up that morning. I had to be in the studio by 1 to record these videos with the other musicians that were coming in, and my Sandy and Troy, and I thought, I'll just try to write a song. So I woke up in the morning, wrote a song with these chords. I played it twice. Each time I played it, it was different. And then I went into the studio and we recorded. Actually, we did 3 videos because they did ask for 3. They said we will do 2 for sure, but we might, if we have time, we do the 3rd one. But they had a lot of people playing, so like we only did 2. But so we did the first 2 videos first, and then the guys just went and took a break, and I said, okay, I'm going to practice this new song, and I just jotted it down fast as I could on the paper, right, the words, and marker, big black letters on the pages in front of me, and I'm old school, and I ended up playing it, started to play it, and the producer came out, Chris, and he goes, "Who's is that you?" And I go, "Yeah," and he goes. He said, okay. He said, you need to record that by yourself. He said for this one. He said, it's a stripped down song. He said, I think it's just you and the guitar is what you should do. And it was nothing against Troy and Sandy. So when they came in, we asked their opinion too, and they completely agreed. They just thought it was the type of song that you want stripped down. And you don't want a lot going on in it. It's just that kind of a song. It's a ballad. And anyway, so I wrote it that morning. I played it twice at home, played it actually half of a time, really. And then I played it, and we were like, he hit record and I played it, and we just went with that for the video and sent it in. And,
Wow.
and yeah. And then I, of course, put it through SoCan and all that stuff. And
Yeah,
and
SoCan.
so now it's going to be released digitally and stuff. But yeah, it's, I was surprised that I managed to get a song. And usually when I write a song in an ideal world and in a perfect world, you would have time to really like practice it for starters, but also listen back to it and see if you really do like it or not. Right. And evaluate. Like I like to generate and then evaluate later. Right. And take my time to do that. And then share it if it should be shared. Right. But let me tell you, I just didn't have that kind of time. And I thought, you know what? Let's just do it. The heck with it. Let's just do it. And that's been my attitude, even with the music, just even doing music in general. I just kind of take these opportunities and take these moments to just throw things out there and just do what comes to me naturally. And then if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. You know what I mean? Like, and that's okay. But I'm going to just do whatever I think needs to be done at that time. Right. And I'm just lucky that something came to me that day. I could have used another song. It's not that I couldn't have, but I just wanted a new one. I was just wanting a fresh song that
Well, sometimes I catch myself singing a song I never heard of before. And I'm like, if I could publish this one or maybe hire people to sing it or whatever, and then I'm afraid that maybe I heard it some time ago, but I forgot and it was already published. So it's pretty hard to write a song. And like I had a friend who he's actually publishes a lot of songs. He writes a lot of singles and I I don't know. Everyone probably knows that I sing on this little app called Smooth Sing, and you can actually sing with many people around the world. And I told him about it because I had him on my podcast about a month ago, and he said that he tried to upload a song for us to sing on Smooth, and they said that he wasn't allowed to because it was licensed to the actual singer. And he's like, I am the actual singer. I wrote it. I sang it. They won't even let him upload it. And so
really,
I had to explain to him what happened and everything. And so how do you actually would get your song on Spotify? Like, you don't have any problem? There was nothing stopped you? You were able just to boom, 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 and that's it? No licensing problems or?
No, because I ended up going through. I used DistroKid for my distribution. I researched distribution companies like for a while, like because I was afraid to use the wrong one, but I asked around and I read a bit and this and that, and a lot of people that I knew used DistroKid, and so I just taught myself how to do it basically, and it's not rocket science, but it's just you have to you set up your account and you upload your music, and you have to
Mhm.
upload all the credits and the time and who wrote it, and is this a remix, is it a and then you select all the stores that you want it to be uploaded to. So Spotify, Apple Music, all that stuff. Like
That's
there's
cool.
tons of them. There's tons of stores that it uploads to that you can check on or off. And so I put them in all stores. And
Well, that's awesome.
so it's on like all like the Fishersfield and Together We Can and In My Better on Spotify and all those right now. And
I'm actually,
Clarity
yeah,
is coming out in a few weeks. So
I'm
yeah.
actually looking forward to hearing maybe. Do you have any qualms about playing that song "Clarity" for us right now?
Nope. Nope.
Cool.
Yeah, I don't mind playing that song.
I saw you standing in the dark, right beside my beat-up car. You said you needed to see me. Do you even know why you're here? How do you want your life to appear? What reflection do you see? Find a place to sleep tonight, if only for a few hours. Maybe you'll find your clarity. Tuck yourself in tight and try to figure out what it is that you so desperately need. We could be so happy. We could be so happy. You're a good person, you need to know. Life flies by faster than we go. The ball is in your court now. When you close your eyes, what do you see? How does your life look without me? Do you really think you'd be okay with that? Find a place to sleep tonight, if only for a few hours. Maybe you'll find your clarity. Tuck yourself in tight and try to figure out what it is that you so desperately need. We could be so happy. 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 You deserve it anyway. 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 You can be so happy. be so happy.
Wow, that was beautiful, Michelle.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for sharing that with
Thank
us.
you.
You were mentioning about Chris Partland, and it's just I heard about his health issues, and
Yes.
is he able? He's able to be able to sing with you sometimes still, or
Well, if I was out there, we'd be singing together for sure. We would
yeah,
be doing
not in
some
this
singing
current
together.
situation at this point. Yeah,
Yeah. Chris, he's such a good. He's the salt of the earth. Chris is the absolute salt of the earth. Meeting him was one of the best things that's ever happened to me.
that's good.
He is one of the most talented people I know. His voice is incredible. His voice to this day is incredible. Despite having Parkinson's, he just keeps on trucking along. I've known him for years now. Like it's been quite a few years now, but I didn't know him my whole life. Like, like I just met him over the last, while. But early on, there were some signs, and I remember us talking about it, and he still to this day says, Michelle, you told me to get to that doctor, because I just remember trying so hard to convince him to go just get checked out. He wasn't really a doctor guy. He didn't like to go to the doctor a whole lot, right?
Mhm.
And anyway, he was struggling a little bit with some symptoms, so he ended up going and he got his diagnosis. And I think going to the doctor was helpful, because they can do some things to help you. It's not there are medications and stuff that can help with certain things. So his music, he keeps on going with his music, and he plays, like, he was right before COVID, right up till COVID started.
Mhm.
He was playing shows, and he was doing a couple a week at Collins still, and he always gets friends up that are awesome. Like, he gets a lot of awesome musicians going in through there and coming out to his shows. I could name so many of them that he's gotten up on his shows. He's really good like that. He's very supportive of other artists, extremely supportive, and he motivated me majorly in the songwriting situation. He would really encourage me to write as much as I could, and he was the first one, I think, to really give me the confidence to go ahead and start doing that more, right? I mean, he's been a good friend. He did whatever he could to help me when I was there. He's really he's a trooper for and the music, it's like me with my health stuff. Like, the music kind of almost saves you. It really does, and it gives you that release that you need, that stress release that you so desperately really do need. You need it bad. Everybody needs an outlet of some sort, to whether it's sports,
Mhm.
art, whatever, right? And for him and for me, it's the only time we're not worrying about a darn thing. Like, it's when we're singing a song, we're in the song. And I can tell you, Chris is the king of being in a song, like right in it. Like,
Yeah, I
he's
remember the
really singing
Partland
from his
brothers.
heart. He's singing from his heart.
Yeah, I remember the Partland brothers were on top of the list, right? Music list in the 80s.
Mhm. Soul City still plays all the time.
Armando remembers a lot of his songs, but I remember just hearing. I can't remember what. I'm sorry, Chris, if you're listening. I can't remember that song that was on the top of the charts, but
Soul
I do
City.
remember.
Soul City.
Yes, that's
And
it.
one chance
The
was
whole
another
city's
one
one,
that was
yeah.
big.
And I remember mentioned the Partland brothers, and and then when you told me that was Chris Partland, really, oh no, it's like um, I'm actually a big Train fan, and I'm trying to get Pat Monahan
Mhm.
on the podcast, but
Nice.
He's very difficult to get a hold of. But
Yeah.
I try hard, but eventually. But yeah,
Yeah. It's
talent.
what's that?
But I have some few questions of my own I wanted to ask you about.
Mhm.
If you mind me asking,
Not at all.
if you could be remembered for one thing, what would it be?
Oh gosh. Oh Lord. That's ooh, if I could
Open-ended
remember.
question. Is that a hard one?
Well, I mean, I don't know if I could be remembered for one thing. I would want people to remember me as, you know, good friend. That matters to me. That matters to me. My friends mean a lot to me. I would do anything for any of them, and I think they know that. And I would want to be remembered as, somebody who, you know, was strong. I want to be remembered for somebody who didn't give up, as somebody that didn't give up. I don't give up easily when I'm putting my mind to something. I try to see it through like I
Oh,
do.
that's good.
And it when it
You're a
when it
fighter.
well, I've had a lot of things go on in my life, not just being sick, just things, from a young age. And I had a great childhood and everything growing up, but there's some things I've experienced in life that some things I'm really glad I experienced, some things I could have done without. But it is what it is. I mean, I'm lucky I made it through my high school years, at all, because I was in several car accidents when I was in high school.
Oh,
And when I say several, I mean, I'm talking 5 car accidents before my 17th birthday.
wow.
I'm serious. Like, I was in a lot of flipping, rolling car,
You're a
sideswiped a
miracle, all right.
car. Like, a lot of car accidents and stuff, and a lot of personal experiences that I've experienced over the years that weren't easy. Um,
Wow.
that make me the person I am today. And I've been married twice. Uh,
You beat me at that.
I've been married twice, and you know what? They're both the fathers of my children, and I wish them both well. Like, they live in this town. And my first, marriage, we were young. We ended up having a child really young, and he's a good guy. Like, they're both good people and everything. Sometimes things just don't work out. And with my second marriage too, like we went through a lot. Like, I was ill, and then my mother was ill, and there's a lot. So a lot of big life things that have gone on in my life, and I would just hope that people could see strength in me, that I can get through, like, because I mean, when my first marriage split up and my grandmother was ill, I remember I went down to 98 pounds.
Oh my God.
I was anorexic for 4 years, and that's when I said I took a little bit of time off work. I wasn't feeling well and stuff. I went down to 98 pounds. I didn't go down to 98 pounds because I wanted to be thin. I didn't look in the mirror and say, "Oh, you're too heavy. You got to lose weight." That wasn't what was going on. It wasn't the psychological component of that, like, of wanting to be thin and not being happy with the way I looked. It was more about, on my lunch hours, I was going to the hospital and making sure my grandmother was eating. I was running errands. I was, at supper time, I'd go to the rink and watch my daughter figure skate 4 nights a week, after work. Right. And you get busy. I was going, losing my grandmother, who I was really close to. And so there was a lot of stress and anxiety and stuff. And losing, my marriage not working out. And it wasn't, nobody ever enters into a marriage and wants it to end. Right. So that was a big life thing for me. And I went down 90 pounds, and I was like that for 4 years. I couldn't gain 1 pound. It didn't matter what I did. If I was really hungry, I'd eat like 5 bites and I'd be full. And so who can gain weight like that? Right. I'd just play with the food and anything on my plate. So and the anxiety was through the roof. So eventually, after 4 years of that and not being well, and I mean, I really didn't look well, I went to the doctor, and I had anxiety. So we had to go on anxiety. I had to go on anxiety medication, but I said, can we take something that has a side effect of weight gain? Right. And it changed my life. I
Wow.
gained 15 pounds in 2 weeks.
2 weeks?
2 weeks. And then the third week, I ended up in the hospital for like a bad kidney, because my kidneys were a mess. Like everything
That
was a
is
mess. I wasn't
amazing.
well. Like, and it's funny because I'll never forget it. Millie Augustine, a lady that I worked with at Indigenous Affairs, she's Mi'kmaq, and she's from Elsipogtog First Nation in New Brunswick. And she, I remember her coming in my cubicle one day and saying, Michelle, your organs are going to start shutting down one by one. She said, your things are not going to be good for you. You need to get help with this situation because you're not well, right? So I took 3 weeks off work. And the first 2 weeks, I gained the 15 pounds, went on the medication or whatever. And then in the third week, ended up in the hospital with a high fever. I had been ignoring back pain for months, and it was my kidneys, and they weren't good. And it took them days to get my fever down. And they scanned me at the end of that week, and they saw something on my liver. They x-rayed me, and they said, we're going to keep you overnight one more night. We're going to scan you in the morning. They scanned me, and they said, oh, you're okay. And then 3 years later, I found out I had cancer, and what do you know, it was in my liver and other places, right? So I don't know if it was there. I don't know if that was the beginning of it or what, but what I do know is that depriving yourself of nutrition is a bad idea, and you can get very sick if you don't nourish your body. And I not nourished my body. I didn't drink much or anything. I drink a little bit, but not anything that was, hard on my body or anything like that. But I wasn't eating properly. I wasn't eating. And when I did eat, it wasn't good stuff. I was drinking pop, I wasn't healthy. And I realized that I let the stress of everything that I was going through, and that's my fault. That's on me. That's nobody else's fault but my own. I let that almost kill me practically. And I ended up getting cancer. And I know that that's why, because I didn't take care of myself for 4 darn years. Right. And so then when my mom was sick there, and we knew that she wasn't going to make it the whole time, that whole 2-year period. And a few weeks before she passed away, my marriage ended. And so I had a choice. I could either go and park myself in my bedroom and not come out for the next 4 years and go down 98 pounds again, or I could stand tall, nourish my body, keep going, and do what I have to do. I thought, I'm not going to let, like, things are really bad right now. Like, it's not what we all expected was going to happen. And things were really bad. And losing my mom was the worst thing I've ever gone through in my entire life. Like, there's been other things too, but that's right up there for the worst thing I've ever gone through. And so I didn't even actually deal, like, mentally with the fact that my marriage ended, because I was so worried about my mom. Right. And after she passed away, I just pulled my bootstraps up, and I just went. I didn't lose 1 pound. I made sure of it. And I just had to be strong, and not to say I didn't have my moments. Obviously, you're grieving, you have your moments, but I like to say that I think I held on there pretty good. I learned the lesson the hard way, and I paid the price for not taking care of myself. I'll never do it again, no matter how tough life gets. I will never do that again.
That's a good piece of advice for myself and anybody else who's
Yeah.
listening to this podcast, that do what she says.
Well, it's true. Like, I mean, and you're responsible yourself for your own health, your own physical health, your own mental health, and people can help you on that journey. But at the end of the day, it's in your hands. And if you don't take care of yourself, like, how are you going to take care of anybody else or be there for anybody else?
I agree
right?
with that. Yeah.
I mean, I could obviously take better care of myself. I mean, I could probably exercise a little more and whatnot. I mean, there are things I could do still right now that would improve things, but I will never not eat, like, for, 4 years again. It was
wow.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
I mean, how did but I have nobody to blame but myself on that. And I didn't let it happen again. And I thought, I could have easily gone down that road again when I lost mom and that marriage ended. I could have gone down the same road I went down the first time, right? And I just thought, no way. I'm gonna make something of the days that I have left, and be here for my family as long as I can be here for them and my family and my friends, and for myself. There were a lot of things I wanted to still do, and I'm not going to be able to do them if I don't put myself first there. Right. And if I'd gone back to work at Indigenous Affairs, even like it would have been too much. Like my health would have been able to handle it, and I probably would have got sick again, like with the cancer again. It probably would have returned, but I've been in remission for 15 years.
Yeah, wow, you're quite a miracle there. That is amazing. I'm just so happy about that, because then you wouldn't have been able to share your music with the world.
Mm-hmm.
Would you consider your father your biggest would he be your biggest support? What?
Oh, is he? You betcha. Oh my goodness. My
Okay.
dad is the best man I've ever known.
Okay,
He's the
so
best man I've ever known. I love my dad. I just think so much of him. He's got the biggest heart. He's got the biggest heart.
when people ask him what his daughter Michelle does, what does he ask? What does he say to them?
Oh God, he'd probably say something smart. He would. It's so funny. When we were growing up, he used to like to tease me and stuff. If I brought a guy home or whatever, if I talked about a guy, if I brought a guy home to meet him or talked about a guy, I'd be like, okay, so who is he? Like, is he Catholic? We were raised Catholic, so so he'd always like, is he Catholic? Blah blah blah, and he'd just joking. He didn't really give a crap if they were Catholic or not. But he just
that's like my dad.
He liked to tease me the crap out of me, right?
Yeah.
He teases everybody. Like he teases. That's what my dad does. He's hilarious. He's like a comedian, and everybody in town knows him. Like there's not too many people in this town that don't know who my dad is, because he's so fun, and he's involved in like the curling club and the golf club and stuff. He's been doing that for years, and different community things, and he, he's a real good person. Actually, his parents ran the ambulance before the ambulance company went provincial in our town. It was called Kelly's Ambulance, and Kelly was my grandfather, and that's actually my brother's name is Kelly. He's named after him. And there's 5 years between my brother and I, 5 years older than I am. And anyway, my grandfather and my grandmother both drove ambulance. They had a cab company and stuff. And so they were entrepreneurs in the town too. And dad's a lot like they were, but people loved, they were old school, boy. Like they did the ambulance scene is a lot different now than it was back then. I can tell you, like they did what they had to do like they do what they have to do now. But I mean, there's a lot more rules now, like than there was back when in the ambulance days, back when Grampy was running it. It was but now like it's provincial, and there's you have to go to school. Yeah. I don't think my grandparents never went to school to learn how to do the ambulance. Like they never took a course or anything. Right now you wouldn't do that, right? You that would be unheard of now. But back in those days, and my dad was driving ambulance at a very young age. I'm not gonna say how young.
Wow, yeah.
They had quite a life. And so dad always, he worked his butt off. And then, when he went out to Ontario to work and met my mom in Pickering, Ontario on that bus that day. And she thought he was batshit crazy. Like she thought he was, she thought he was not. And you know what? She was freaking right. She was right. She was right. He ended up getting, he got on the bus and he was like, he wanted to take her out. He wanted to go out with her. And she said, you know what? I can't, like, I'm going out with friends tonight to a hockey game. He goes, actually, that's where I was going to take you. I think the hockey game was in Oshawa maybe or something. And she's like, yeah, I'll see you there. Because he said, I'll see you there. And she goes, yeah, I'll see you there. And she's walking away thinking, what a nut. And she's like, think he's crazy. And then she goes to the hockey game and she sees him he's one of the first people she sees when she walks in, and the people that she was with knew him. They knew my dad. And so that gave him an in. And as I said, she was born in England, but she was raised in Ontario. And so he brought her down here, and so I have an older brother that's older than Kelly and I, that she gave up for adoption actually when she was a teenager. She'd gotten pregnant, and her parents sent her to the convent to have this baby. And when she went up, she had the baby, and she gave him up for adoption, and she didn't want to, but she kind of had to do it, and she was very young, and he was given up for adoption, and the family that adopted him were from Ontario, and they were Dutch though. They were from Holland, but they lived in Ontario.
Yes, my dad was born in Curacao. I'm half Dutch, so there you go.
Oh, are you?
Yeah.
Nice. They ended up raising him until he was 9 in Ontario, and then they all moved back to Holland, and he actually lives in Bexham, Holland right now. And his name's William, and we met. So I didn't know anything about this. So I'm at work one day at Indigenous Affairs, and my mom calls me, and that was unheard of. My mother didn't believe in calling anybody at work. She didn't believe in any of that. So she called, and she said, what are you doing for lunch? And I said, nothing. Why? And I said, what's up? And she goes, well, do you want to come out? And I said, what are you having? And normally if mom was going to invite me over to eat, it'd be for supper. So I was kind of surprised by this, right? Like they just called me, asked me for lunch and stuff. So I said, what do you have? She said, I was just going to put like a can of soup on and make sandwiches. I said, okay, who's dead? Who's dying? Who's sick? Tell me the truth. What's going on? She goes, nothing. She said, don't worry about it. And I said, we won the lottery. Like I didn't know what was going on. Right. And she's like, just come out. So I went out and I sat down, and she said, so I had a son. And I said, yeah, Kelly. Yeah, I know him. And she's like, no, I had another son. And I said, yes, David, because she had my dad and her had a son that passed away before my brother was born. My brother Kelly was born and passed away at birth. And then I thought that's who she was talking about. And she said, no, I have another son. And I went, come again?
It's like the long lost family episode.
Yeah. She goes, I have another son. And I went, I was so happy. I'm going to tell you something right now. First of all, I was happy for a couple of reasons. One was because I thought, oh my God, like I have another brother out there. That's awesome. Right. Like I was excited about that. And then I was like, oh my God, my mother has secret. Like, when you're growing up, not to sound like a little jerk, but when you're growing up as a child, you think your parents' life started when you came into the world. Like you don't think about what they did before you came along, right? You're kind of self-centered when you're a kid sometimes like that, right? Like you don't really think about their past. And everybody has a past. And my mother had one too. And this secret that she had been holding on to for years and not telling anybody about this. My dad knew, but he was the only one that knew about it. He wasn't the father. Like he'd met her later, but he, nobody knew this secret. And I was like, wow, like I couldn't believe it, because you just don't, sometimes your parents keep things from you. Even like about things maybe they did as teenagers, if they got drunk or something, they'll keep that from you because they don't want you saying, well, you did it, and so they keep secrets from you sometimes, right? As a teenager. But when I went to her and told her that I was pregnant at 19 years old, I was terrified, and I thought she's going to have a heart attack, right? So I went to her and I told her, and she was remarkably calm. And I was like, and Dad, on the other hand, he was a little bit worked up. He went for a 3-hour walk on the golf course with a bottle of booze because he didn't know how to handle it, because I was 19, right? And I didn't really have much of a plan at that point yet, right? So like it was just really early on. And she goes, she was really, really remarkably calm, and I could never wrap my head around it, because I thought she would have been the one that really got worked up and worried, like really scared. And then later on, when I found out about my brother that she'd given up for adoption, it all made sense. It all came together. I realized that she'd been through it. Only she was younger than I was, but she wanted me to make that decision first of all, and what I was going to do, right? And she was going to support me no matter, you know, what I did. And I never even gave it a second thought. I said, I'm keeping this child. Like, and I was excited. I was really excited. Even though I was a little scared because I was young and whatnot, but I was very excited. And I'll tell you, mom and dad ended up becoming very excited as well. And it was the best thing when I had Ashley. I mean, they were over the moon with happiness. They were over the moon. We all were. And so I just understood a lot at that point, like why about my mother and about why she was so calm. Like, because I thought, wow, like she's being really majorly understood. Not that my mom wasn't an understanding person, but I thought she'd panic and freak out when I went to her and told her, right? And she didn't. She was really good about it.
That's amazing story. Wow. So much.
So we met him 3 weeks later so she told me about this. She said, I made contact with him. She found him on the internet. She was on the internet one night, and she was going on Parent Find to put her name in case he ever wanted to find her. And she put her name in, or she went to put her name in, and she saw he had already listed his birth name. And she stared at that computer for 3 hours in the middle of the night by herself in the office, like here at the house, at my dad's house. I'm over at my dad's right now. And she basically just stared at the computer for 3 hours and then made contact with them. And a couple of weeks later, she pulled me out and told my brother Kelly and this, that. And then we met him 3 weeks later on Christmas Eve at the Halifax airport, him and his wife, Jacklin. And that was my mother's name, Jacklin, which is crazy. Like that, you know, and then she was pregnant with her first child, and ATV and CTV News, all of them were there, like Global News and all them. They did a story on it. And then they aired it on CTV on their New Year's best moments, like at New Year's Eve. They do a recap of the year best moments. And it was quite a story. Everybody in the airport, like the place was filled with strangers, and they were all bawling. We were all crying. Everybody was crying. It was really quite something, actually, to be honest with you, and quite something to witness and see mom so happy. My mother was over the moon to see my mom. Oh, that was the best, actually, to see her get that day, have that day to meet William. And William and his family have been here. He has 2 kids, Chayton and Cheyenne, and a son and a daughter. And they're a nice family, great family. They've been over here. I know my parents have been over there. My brother's been over there. I haven't been to Holland yet, but
I was in Holland. And it's actually, I like to go back, but once everything is said and done, I'll go back. I want to start off Curacao. My dad's 100th birthday would have been March 17, 2023. So I like to go to Holland to commemorate that. Go to Curacao where he was born, and then end up in Amsterdam and just try to make it to Paris, France in the end, and try to do that within a couple of weeks. But we'll see what happens. But yeah, 100. Can you believe it? My mother just would have been 101 this year.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Oh wow, that's impressive.
But I lost them both, and that's my dad 2002 and my mom 1993.
How was her health that day? Like at 100 years old, like was she sick for a while before she passed away?
No. She would have been 101 this year. She died when she was 72.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay, I thought you meant she made
ago.
it to 100.
No,
okay,
no, I see what you mean. No, but yeah, so now that we know that your dad is your biggest support, when you wrote that song, In My Bed, did he ask you, like, in my bed? Who was in your bed, Michelle?
You know what?
Who
We actually didn't discuss it.
What's his name?
It's funny because that song, like, I'm a little bit shy, like in some ways, like, and especially like that kind of way. It's like, so for him, my kids and my dad crossed my mind when I wrote that song with Norman, but we wanted a little bit of we wanted a kind of a sexy song in a sense, like, or, you know, but we, you know, that's just the way it is. I mean, I'm okay. I will say my age. I'm 47. So at this point in my life, I just I wasn't 47 when I recorded the song, but close enough. And at this point in my life, I just kind of do what I do, and my dad just kind of accepts it, you know? I mean, I'm almost 50 years old. You know what I mean? So I think, and my kids too, they're pretty good. They're, you know, I mean, I don't think they sit around and listen to In My Bed. I'm pretty sure they don't listen to it all the time or anything.
Well, I know if I told my family that I wrote a song called In My Bed, they'll just think, "Oh, that's nice, sweet in your bed with Hannah, you know, cat and stuff like that." But if I tell people at work, they're like, "Okay, who was in your bed? When was it? The weekend?" Everyone has a
Yeah,
different perspective on that. What's this song's? Could you play that song for us?
sure.
We'd love to hear
I
it.
want to say just before I do,
Sure.
with Norman. So I was saying earlier, I met him that night. I went out to see Craig play on Queen Street, and Norman walks in the room, right? And I don't know Norman at all, so he walks in the bar. He's a great guy, really, really good guy, and he's got a big heart. By the way, he's got a really big heart, and he's very talented. He's a composer and a producer, and he does
Wow,
it for film and television.
that's
So he's
impressive.
done Dexter and American Psycho 2 and
Dexter?
different. Yeah, yeah. He's done
Wow.
some big things. He's a Juno winner. He's a Juno Award winner, and because he was in Altamota and
Norman
the
Ornstein, right? Yeah.
yeah, and the Infidels. He was in a couple bands with
Mhm.
Molly Johnson back in
I know
the
Molly Johnson.
90s.
Wow.
Yeah,
It's going
yeah.
way back.
So oh yeah, and he's yeah. If you go, and I knew, I was familiar with the music. I knew the music and knew the bands, but I just didn't know Norman, right? Like I just didn't realize who he was when he walked in. Like I just wasn't in the connection, I guess. You know what I mean? So he comes in, and he's got a presence about him. You know, he's just a cool cat. He's got a presence about him, and he walks in, and immediately Craig's on stage, and he goes, "Hey everybody, we have a rock star in the room." He said, "Mr. Norman Ornstein." And I turned around. Of course, my head whipped right around. Who's a rock star? My head whipped right around. And Norman just kind of nodded and had a smile on his face. And then after Craig came off stage, he says, "Would you like to meet Norman?" And so he brought me over and he told me a little bit about him, and he met him, and Norman was great. I was there with my friend Sally. And Norman invited us back to his studio. And it was just down the road, right? And we walked in, and we were going to go play some music, and we walked in, and this place to me was a little bit of heaven. Let me tell you this. I'd love to have a pad like this. Let me tell you, first of
Wow.
all, there's just, you know, he's got his equipment, his gear and everything. And there's guitars, there's drums, there's basses, there's the keyboards, there's every
Nice.
instrument you want are kicking around. There's beautiful, beautiful crystal chandeliers that he makes. He makes these beautiful crystal chandeliers, and they hang down, and they almost look like crystal jellyfishes in a way. Like they hang down, and they're all different, like amber and different color crystals and stuff. And it's almost mystical when you walk in there. It really is. And we sit down and we start playing some music. And I played one original, and I played a cover. I think I played a cover and an original, or two covers and an original. And Fisher's Field was the original I played for him. And he, at the end of it, said, "I'll tell you what, I'd like to record Fisher's Field for you." And he said, "And if you want to do a co-write, we'll do a co-write." I thought, oh, that would be great, right? And like, you know, I didn't know everything about him. I knew a little bit about him when Craig was introducing me, but I didn't know everything about him. I didn't know he won a Juno and stuff. And I'm kind of glad I didn't know some of the stuff I know now when I went to his place, because I would have been honestly like probably a little bit intimidated, maybe a little bit, like not because he's you know, it's not like he's an intimidating person or anything. He's a great guy. But I mean, I just would have gotten my head maybe a little bit. I'm kind of glad I didn't know what I know now. But so the next, I was scheduled to go back to Amherst, like come back to Nova Scotia, like for Thanksgiving weekend. So he had to go to Vancouver to do a movie the next week. He said, "Why don't we meet next weekend after we get back?" And so I went over to his house on the Friday night, or to the studio, and it was a jam night for that night, right? And we were going to be jamming with different musicians. And I walked in, and there was you know, a bunch of people there, and you know, about, I don't know, like, I don't know how many, 10, I don't know, I can't. Anyway, I walked in and I had to sing almost immediately, and so I got up and sang "Love Came Here" by I don't know how you pronounce her name, Lassa de Sella, I think it is Lassa de Sella. I'm not sure how you pronounce the name of them, but great songs, kind of like a smoky jazz little number. I love it. Actually, I really love it. And it's just a 3-chord song. They didn't never heard of the song, but these guys are pros. Like these guys were top-notch musicians. And that was really obvious when I went in there, but I still didn't know who they were. Was introduced to them and I just shook their hand and everything. And then they're playing with them, right? Turned out one of them, you know, is Jimmy Reed, and he plays guitar for Sash Jordan, Andy Kim, and yeah, and then another one was JK, John Kanak. I've never asked him how he pronounces his last name, but Kanak is, I don't want to insult him by pronouncing it wrong, but he's a great guy, and he's a triple Juno Award winner. He plays with Andy Kim, and I don't know if he's played with Sass or not, but he's amazing. And anyway, we played the song. And I talked to him later on, and talked to all of them, and they were really good. You know, they were really kind to me and stuff. And the next day he added me on Instagram, and he messaged me, and he said, "I was good meeting you. You know, I liked your tone and this, that." So he said, "Let me know when you come back." And he said, "Norman and you and I will do something together." And so I thought, that's great, right? Like he's worked with some great artists. He's got quite a career and he's a film and TV composer as well, right? So I thought that'd be great to work with both of them. Like it'd be a nice opportunity for me, and I was really appreciative of it. Anyway, I ended up doing the song with them that night, and then the next night I went back to Norman's. I recorded not one original but 4 of them, because Norman just said, "Okay, let's do another, and we recorded Fisher's Field too. And then the next night I went back and we co-wrote that In My Bed song and recorded it right there on the spot.
Wow.
And then that was the end of that, like for the In My Bed. And then I came back to Nova Scotia, but it was a chance. Look, I went out on a Wednesday night to support a friend and to see him play, because Craig's a really good singer-songwriter. And I went out to support him. It was supposed to be a pretty quiet night, you know, Wednesday night. You know, afterwards I was going to be coming straight home. I was going to be going straight home. I was going to be doing anything. And then Norman walks in, and this happened. And wow, like talk about being in a good place at a good time, the right place at the right time. You know, I mean, I don't know why these things have happened to me, but I'm sure grateful that they have. Do you know what I mean? That I got to do that. And I was supposed to go back that spring, like to Ontario, but that's when COVID hit. And so it just messed everything up, and I haven't been back since. So when I go back, the plan is to do some work, do something with them. But I'll play you In My Bed, the one that Norman
That'd
and
be
I
awesome.
did.
Yeah, really appreciate how that came to be. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's just, you just never know, eh? You're just trucking along, and you know, it is what it is. It was good though.
I'm lying on my bed. We got it till the end. You and me in the red. I want you in my bed. Oh, don't let it go. Don't let it go. Lying on my bed. See you go through my head. All the things unsaid. I'm waiting in my bed. Don't let it go. Don't let it go.
was awesome. I like that song. So it has
Thanks.
nothing to do with being in bed with anybody.
No, it's
Okay,
pretty
the
clean.
secret has
It's
been
actually
opened
pretty
now.
clean. The dirtiest part about the song is just in my bed, and I don't know,
I know. In my
it's
bed. You
well,
take
see, I tried to keep it a little bit. I could try to keep it clean because I do
Yeah.
have kids. I mean, I do. I said I'm 7 years old and do what I want, but at the same time, I didn't want it to get too racy with having daughters out there and whatnot.
I can imagine some kids listening to you play In My Bed and they're going, "Hey, you would not believe this 30 musicians start singing about the bed and being in it and everything."
Well, like and I mean, I don't know. It's funny because some people look. I'm not going to say I never listen to songs like with swear words in them. Like sometimes I do. I've never been one to sing songs that have swear words in them, and I don't judge anybody for doing it. I swear. I do swear, but I every time I swear, sometimes when I swear, I'm like, oh God, I should, because you don't want to not sound like a lady, but I won't lie. Swear words come out of my mouth sometimes, but I don't want to put it in writing in my songs necessarily. Do you know what I mean? Like I just because of and I'm not judging anybody that does. I truly am not. It's just not just not what I do necessarily. Like doesn't mean I judge anybody for doing it.
I stopped listening to Eminem and a guy named Eamon and a few others that used to have like swear words, and I'm like, I don't even want to bother. I like the clean stuff. You should see my Spotify list.
Oh yeah?
Not one artist in there has ever used a swear word.
No.
Love it.
Well, I usually like the clean versions better. Like especially if I'm going to cover a song, like I usually go for the clean versions if there's a clean version available. Like because I have to play a lot of events that there are different ages and stuff, and I don't want to necessarily I have all ages at my shows, and sometimes, and not that because you're older doesn't mean necessarily that you're going to be offended by a swear word, but I just try to be, or younger, like I just try to. I don't know. I just try to be more so I can play it for an event, because there are some things that you can't play at if you swear in your songs, right? Like, so
we have a group that plays down here in Port Credit called Downchild Blues Band. Have you ever heard of them? And the lead singer has a beard with a black hat. Looks like he's related to the Blues Brothers.
Oh yeah, nice.
And it's sort of like a jazzy type. People are like they've been at the Crooked Q and all that, and they always said Downchild Blues Band. And guy comes out, he's got dark glasses. He looks like he could be related to Ozzy Osbourne when he had the black sunglasses, and he just, that's the way he dressed, right? And they're kind of like a jazzy, kind of like silent kind of mood. I'm gonna say a name you probably know, Marshall Tucker Band.
Oh yeah, I know of them. Yeah,
he's actually, we're gonna have him on the podcast.
Nice.
I'd be very interested in talking to him. I remember going to watch him in Port Credit, and he's well known. He's got a lot of albums, a lot of music. I didn't realize, and then I noticed that he's the same. It's like Marshall Tucker. Wow.
Yeah.
We have to get him on. So yeah, he said we'll just choose a date and time, and I'm like, okay, so it's gonna be good to have him. And
do you ever go down to the shore and watch Tom Barlow and Tom Lewis and Chris McNeil and those guys play, and Rick?
The Shore Barn Grill Grotto is my favorite place. That's where I go usually. But I haven't gone since since July, because everything started after July and August. But the summer I was more open to go down, and usually have my favorites on the menu. But
I've sang with those guys for open. They do like an open mic night thing there.
Oh,
and it was great. Like those guys are great musicians. They played like Glass Tiger and Tom Cochran and those guys. But they're really top notch musicians. And Tom Barlow, actually, I got together one time and to write a song, and we did a lot of talking, like and talked about some of my songs and stuff. And he was really helpful, and he took the time out to meet with me, and I'll never forget it. Actually, he's a really good guy. Tom's a really solid human being. I can tell you that right now. He's I knew that within minutes of talking to him. I don't know if you know
You're
him
talking about
at
Tom
all.
Cochran, right?
No, Tom Barlow.
Tom Barlow, okay.
I was saying Tom Lewis and Chris McNeil, who do like play drums and they play at the Shore. They're the band that backs up everybody that goes up to sing for open mic night. But they go on tour with Tom and also Glass Tiger. They play with Glass Tiger sometimes, I think, and too. I'm
Glass
pretty
Tiger,
sure.
wow.
Yeah, I think I'm pretty sure they play. Yeah, and then but Tom Barlow is the one that is the singer of the, like, he runs it's open mic Tom Barlow and Friends, right? Like, and so Tom does, he sings and plays guitar, and he's a singer-songwriter, and he's got some really great original stuff, but he plays a lot in Port Credit. He's plays Port Credit a lot.
One of the members of Partland Blonde from the 80s, one of them, Mark Holmes, he lives in my area, and they recently got together, I think, because one of them passed away, but
Kenny
MacLean
passed away years ago.
Yeah.
You mean recently? You don't mean recently somebody passed away. You mean
no, that's the one I'm talking about.
Yeah, he was the bass player, or the bass player. But they were my favorite band growing up. Platinum Blonde. They were my favorite band. I saw them multiple times in concert, and I got to meet them actually not that long ago in Halifax. They were playing Halifax, and I met Sergio Galli and Sandy.
Galli? Wow,
yeah,
you meet them all.
And I'm a big fan. Seriously, Platinum Blonde.
You tell them that I have a podcast and I want them on here pronto.
Well, I don't know them. Like, I just met them right at their show, but they're because they were kind enough to meet
Not
people.
Like I'm using you or anything.
No, yeah, no. But honest to God, it's so funny because when I was a teenager, I used to say I was gonna. Well, I shouldn't even say it, but I used to have the biggest crush on them. I'm telling you, I used to think that I was gonna, I used to joke around, say I was gonna marry Mark Holmes one day.
Mark Holmes.
No, I had such a crush on him when I was a teenager. Anyway, but they're great. They were, Sergio Galli. I just think I just always loved watching him play too. Like we always enjoyed their concert, but I loved their music. Their music I loved their music, actually. I loved Doesn't Really Matter, Stand in the Dark. Like I love those. But one of my favorite Platinum Blonde songs, I almost played it tonight, is Not in Love. Not in Love. I love it. I love that song.
Then you might know this group. They sang oh my goodness, why was it? Carol Pope was the leader of the band. High School Confidential.
Oh yeah.
Rough Trade.
Yeah.
Rough Trade, yeah. And she's actually from here, and she was playing in Port Credit a couple of times, and I'm kind of surprised that there's a lot of Canadian musicians that actually are like American.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's not too far away from but yeah.
Well, back when they had Chris on drums there, I remember Chris, I can't remember his last name, and Platinum Blonde, Chris, oh gosh, isn't that awful? I can't remember his last name.
Sometimers.
Is it Stifler maybe, or something?
No.
Why does that sound familiar? Who's that?
I don't know very many Canadian bands, but I know a few of them. And
I'll tell you, they were, oh gosh. I remember one time they played in Moncton, the Coliseum, and they brought a girl who was fighting cancer out on stage, and they sang If You Go This Time to her. And we were actually, the back of our heads were in that video, they did a music video. And they had her and her mother sitting right up on the stage, and Mark Holmes brought her right out and started dancing with her on the stage, and it was beautiful. I mean, it was her wish to have them come to Moncton and do the concert and stuff, and they brought her right up on the stage with her. And
wow,
yeah, I seriously couldn't. My friends and I, we just thought they were everything growing up. we had a lot of, it's funny because I liked everything from Dr. Hook to, I listened to a lot of Dr. Hook in my high school years, actually. And I listened to a lot of Eric Clapton and the Cream and Steve Miller Band.
Oh, yeah. I grew up with all them Bee Gees. And
I loved the Bee Gees.
But I always had to listen to Dean Martin and Sammy Davis Jr. Here, let me show you some of the ones
Yeah,
from.
they're good.
You ever heard of? Oh, well, you know ABBA. Everyone knows ABBA.
Oh, I loved ABBA. I still do. I love them. Yeah.
A lot of these are the. Do you
Big,
know any
big
of the new?
influence on me.
Ron Sexsmith.
Oh yeah. Yeah, he's good. He's really
Yeah,
good.
he's
Yeah.
good. The
He's
Wild
amazing.
Strawberries.
Wild Strawberries.
Never heard of them?
No. I'll have to look them up. Wild Strawberries. I take your word for it.
Okay.
That's for sure. I believe you. I like the name. Wild Strawberries. That's a good name.
Wild Strawberries, yeah. And
Mm.
both her and her husband actually are part of the band, and also Sarah Slean is my favorite as well.
Nice.
Yeah. You just
Yeah,
gotta
it's
find a lot of diverse songs, and then sometimes with Armando, I just send him a song, and he'll tell me whether he likes it or not. But sometimes, he'll be like, "Oh, I like the song that you sent me." Oh, yeah, so because it's hard to agree on a song. He might send me one, I might send him one to add to
right.
Spotify, and I'm like, no.
Yeah. Well, you know what? You got to be feeling it, right? Like
Yeah.
it's if you're not comfortable with it, then you know what I mean. But if you're comfortable with it, do it. I like DistroKid. You should go through DistroKid. I like DistroKid quite a bit actually. It's easy to use. It's pretty easy to use and do and stuff, right?
Yeah.
Now you have to pay fees every song that you do though, because there's options at the end of it that like you can leave a legacy so that after you pass away, your kids get your
Oh, wow.
royalties and things like
Like
that. So
Facebook, yeah.
yeah, but you had to pay for that feature. And some of them are one-time fees and some of them are like annual fees. Some of them are monthly fees. Like there's different options that you can click, like that will give you certain things, so some of them are going to be reoccurring fees, and so I try to space my songs out a little bit so that I don't have like a bunch of fees coming out in the same month, because that can get costly if you're just going back to back and writing and releasing songs like every few weeks, like you'd have fees coming out left, right, and center. And if I'm going to upload a song, I would make sure I have that legacy box checked, that's YouTube's checked, and like just different things that you have to pay for. But it's easy to use, and I really do. I like it. I like DistroKid. Yeah.
Okay,
So far so good. Anyway,
I'll have to check at that one.
Yeah.
They're kind of like the RIA or whatever. They're so, like, I had a page where I would put in all my duets I did on Smool and everything, and then they would say that there's a copyright thing, and some of it would be blanked out, so you hear just my lips moving, but they would take some of the song and they say that there's it's like, why do that? It's just be free, open it up to everyone,
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. But someone from Amherst says that they want you to play another song.
Oh,
Play
who's
Amherst.
that? Is that?
Ask Michelle to play the Amherst Focus song. So,
okay.
what song would you suggest that you want to play?
You know what? I'm kind of in the mood to do a cover song that I really like, to be honest with you. And I don't know if you know Juliet Jacklin or not, if you've ever heard of Juliet
No, I never
Jacklin.
heard of her. Who's she?
She is I love her. I just it's funny because I kind of stumbled upon her on YouTube. And when I found her, I was just like, I loved her. And this song this song is one of my favorite songs to sing right now. Like, she's good. Like she's really good. And I just, I'm so glad I found her. Every now and then you got to love YouTube and things like that and Spotify and stuff, because I mean, every now and then you come across artists that you just didn't know like beforehand, and they being the gems that you end up loving them like the most. I really, I don't know. I'm glad I found this song because I think it's a good song.
What's the song called?
I Don't Know How to Keep Loving You.
Oh.
Yeah. So let's
play
that. Let's play that. buzz here.
I wanna want you. I wanna stay here like this. I wanna feel it all. Every time that we kiss, I want your mother to stay friends with mine. I want this feeling to pass in time. You know my body now, and I know yours. Said so many things between these walls. And every gift you buy me, I know it's inside. What can I do now? There's nothing left to hide. Don't know how to keep loving you. Now that I know you so well, don't know how to keep loving you. Now that I know you so well, don't know how to keep loving you. Now that I know you so well, don't know how to keep loving you. But what if I cleaned up? What if I worked on my skin? I would scrub until I am red hot, weak and thin, too tired to run away. What can I do now? There's nothing left to say. Don't know how to keep loving you. Now that I know you so well, don't know how to keep loving you. Now that I know you so well, don't know how to keep loving you. Now that I know you so well, don't know how to keep loving you. Oh, oh, oh. Into the darkness, or is it the light? What can I do now? Finding a place to sleep tonight. Who will I be? What can I do now? There's nothing left for me. Don't know how to keep loving you. Now that I know you so well, don't know how to keep loving you. Now that I know you so well, don't know how to keep loving you. Now that I know you so well, don't know how to keep loving you. Don't know how to keep loving you. Now that I know you so well, don't know how to keep loving you. Now that I know you so well, don't know how to keep loving you. Now that I know you so well, don't know how to keep loving you. Oh, oh, oh. Oh, oh,
Woohoo!
It's one of
Beautiful
my
playing.
favorite songs to sing right now. I love that song.
I was telling people that when you play with your eyes closed, and I'm like, that's
Yeah.
amazing. I've never seen any other. I don't know if I've seen any other musician play a song with their eyes closed. I can't remember.
I do it a lot. I have to admit. And sometimes that bugs people. Sometimes it doesn't. it's a mixed, I get mixed reviews on that. Sometimes people say, well, why don't you open your eyes more? Well, sometimes I just had to put myself in that place, that in that song. You know what I mean? And it's not that I don't know the audience is there. It's not that I'm not caring about the audience being there. But for me to sing it in an emotional way, especially the emotional songs, like those ones I get, and the ones you get lost in, those types of songs that you get lost in. And I love those. Those are my favorite types of songs, the ones that you are free and you're almost, it's like almost like an out of body experience in a sense. Do you know what I'm saying? Like you're just kind of, the audience is there, you're aware that the audience is there, and you are performing for them, but you're also performing for yourself, and you're performing, you're like, started doing this because I love music. That's why I started doing this, right? I love music, and I get lost in music. So in that moment when I'm closing my eyes, I feel like it helps with my delivery of the song, because I have to just kind of take myself to that vulnerable place, that emotional place. That sometimes if you're looking out into an audience, I mean, you can do it, and I can do it, and I've done it, but there are just times when I need to just close my eyes and be in that moment. You know what I'm saying? And I find sometimes that's when I do my best, is when I'm doing that, when I let myself go like that. And it's not that I'm not aware that people are there. It's and some people love it. Some people hate it. I had somebody the other night compliment me on that. They said, I love that you sing with your eyes closed, and you
Nice.
too. But I've heard other people say, open your eyes.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I do look out in the audience. It's not that I don't look out in the audience. I do. And I'm aware of a lot that goes on around me. Like if they're, even conversations sometimes, if I'm playing a pub and there's conversations going on right in front of me, it's not that I know people are talking right in front of me or whatever. I'm aware of a lot more than you'd think I am being in that moment. But that being said, I'm also moving myself in a sense to some degree, just so I can deliver that song the way I really truly want to deliver it.
Yeah, you really feel it. You really put your whole heart and soul in it, passion. You really deliver it. We can actually feel that the songs that you play resonate with us, resonate with the audience, and people aren't really looking at you. They're listening to what's coming out of you, and they're just trying to feel the way that you feel towards the song. So you're like making everyone into a Michelle, and they want to know this song, and I don't know what they would learn from In My Bed, but anyway, no, just kidding.
You know what? Some are emotional, and others are just, they're just more about having fun, or more, like more, sexual or whatever. I don't know, but there's a place for every type of song, right?
Yeah.
And I like so many different genres. Like I like jazz, I like blues, I like folk, I like pop. I mean, when I was growing up too, like Madonna and Michael Jackson.
Michael Jackson.
I was a big Michael Jackson fan. I had Michael Jackson posters all over my bedroom.
Oh, I can tell you one of our friends is actually a big Michael Jackson fan.
Oh, actually, Michael Jackson's the reason I met my best friend, because they were doing a thing at our mall in our town when I was a kid in grade 3. And I just actually left one elementary school to go to another. So I was going into a new school and everything. And they were doing this thing at the mall for Michael Jackson, and they were lining up a bunch of kids, right? And they were dressing up like Michael Jackson. They're coming one glove on, leather jackets and things like that, right? And they're doing moonwalks and everything. I mean, I used to break dance when I was a kid on cardboard. We'd put cardboard down on grass and we'd break dance. We'd do backspin and warm. I wouldn't try that stuff now, probably break a hip. But honest to God, like we used to. So this Michael Jackson thing came up, and I went to it, and they were filming all the kids dancing and stuff to Michael Jackson, and this girl named Lisa was there, and our parents knew each other, and she went to this new school that I was at too. So it was nice, because she was my first like best she ended up becoming my best friend, but she also like, was my, I was so relieved that I had a friend at this new school, right, that I was going to. And anyway, but that night, she ended up coming staying overnight at my house for a sleepover. I was like, we liked each other. We were hanging out at the mall, and I was like, she come stay at my house. And they knew, our parents knew each other. So yeah. So she ended up coming out to the cottage with us, I think the next day. And there was land for sale right beside her cottage. So then she went home and told her dad, I think, and her dad and mom ended up buying the land, and they built a cottage, and they were our neighbors our whole lives. And like, she's, to this day, I talked to her for 8 hours on the phone the other day.
Wow.
I swear to God, we talked for 8 hours because we hadn't caught up for a while. Like, I saw her at our Christmas potluck that we have with our girlfriends or whatever, but like, there's a lot going on. There's a whole bunch of us there. And so, like, we ended up talking for 8 hours on the phone. Like, and it was great. It was great to catch up with her. She's a great girl. But Michael Jackson is the reason why we met and became
that's awesome.
good friends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know people who have met through the death of celebrities and they got married, and you never know what happens. Oh,
No,
I
you
know
don't.
my cat's kind of wanting to see me, but
Bring your cat in the picture. I want to see the cat. Bring the cat. I like cats.
okay, this is Hannah,
Aw.
the black cat. Hi.
Oh,
Hi,
what a sweetheart.
Michelle.
Oh, what a little sweetie. Oh my God. I have a black cat too. His name's Sylvie Boy. I named him after Sylvester the Putty Cat.
That's
Because
Putty
he
Cat.
looks like
That's
Sylvester
Hannah.
the Putty Cat.
Hi.
Oh, it's so sweet. Oh my gosh.
And sometimes she can be a real terror too. Like, you don't want a cat getting you up like 2 o'clock in the morning wanting to have dinner. But so
my
we
cat
should
does that too.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
any last remaining words before we have you play the last song and then close this off? So
Well, I think I've said enough, probably. I don't. I'm thinking,
is there like a Rolling Stones song or something that you know any Rolling Stones songs?
Wild Horses. Want me to do Wild Horses?
Wild Horses, yes. But do you want to? Do you have any last words to say, Michelle?
Well, I thank you for having me.
You're very welcome.
I really had fun talking to you. We talked for quite a while.
Yeah.
I told you it was going to be. I could talk. I said, "Well, we won't be at a
I
loss
don't
for
mind
words
at
in this
all. I don't
interview. I
mind
can
at
tell you
all.
that."
I don't
But
mind at all.
this, I think, yes, we wanted to play music, but I think you and I both agreed that the big, part of this was so people can get to know me a little bit better.
Oh yeah.
And I think that, we tried to achieve that tonight. We
Yeah,
talked
that's
for
good.
quite a while. I think people know me a little bit better.
That was good, but it looks like my cat's not going to wait around. But yeah, it was great. So
But thank you very much.
You're very welcome. So
me.
once we close this broadcast, can you just stick around for a bit?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, cool.
Yep. Yeah.
All right. Wait a minute. Wild Horses. That's Susan Boyle sang a version of that song, I believe.
Does she?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's actually pretty good. So I can't wait to hear your song.
Oh, thank you so much.
All right, everyone. It's Michelle Marie LeBlanc with Wild Horses.
Yes, I'm sorry if it's a little. I don't know if I haven't tuned since I started playing this, and I got new strings last week. So I hope it's not. I hope it's not. I hope that it sounds still in tune. My
childhood living is easy to do. things that you wanted. I bought them for you. Graceless lady, know who I am. You know I can't let you slip through my hands. Wild, wild horses couldn't drag me away. Wild, wild horses couldn't drag me away. I watched you suffer, a dull aching pain. Now you decided to show me the same. No sweeping exit or off stage lines could make me feel bitter or treat you unkind. Wild, wild horses couldn't drag me away. Wild, wild horses couldn't drag me away. I know I dreamed you sit in the light. I have my freedom, but I don't have much time. Faith has been broken and tears must be cried. Let's do some living after we die. Wild, wild horses couldn't drag me away. Wild, wild horses couldn't drag me away. Wild, wild horses couldn't drag me away. Wild, wild horses will find them someday. Wild, wild horses couldn't drag me away. Wild, wild horses couldn't drag me wild, wild horses. We'll ride them someday.
Woo! Awesome. Well, I can't
Thank
believe
you.
this. Yeah. I wanted to give you 2 hours so you can just, share your life and talk about yourself and your music. And I'm so happy I was able to extend that a little bit because we all love you, Michelle, and we think
Thank
you're
you. Love you
fantastic.
too. And the good thing is it's on YouTube. So if people didn't have the time to watch it tonight live, they can always go back
Yes,
to
I
YouTube
know.
and look at the link later. So
Yep.
that's good because it was a long interview. So some people might not have been able to hang in. It's almost 11 o'clock here in Atlanta, Canada.
But
So
it'll actually be a little easier when I put the timestamp down there. Then they can go right to different parts and hear different parts of the interview and about stuff. And once that's probably going to take a week to do, and then all your links and everything, so they can find you, listen to your music, purchase your music, Spotify. Make sure all the links are there. Make sure everyone knows who Michelle Marie LeBlanc. And I'm hoping
thank
that
you.
there's going to be a plane that's going to go by with this banner that says Michelle Marie LeBlanc.
Well, you know
Yeah.
what? The reason why I use the Michelle Marie LeBlanc is because there's other Michelle LeBlanc singer-songwriters out there. I think one's in the States and stuff.
There
So,
is another.
so I kind of
There's another
so I have
Michelle
to
Marie
do
LeBlanc
Michelle
as
Marie
well.
LeBlanc,
Yeah.
right?
Now there's
So
two of you.
yeah, so I don't know what her middle name is, but she doesn't use it in her title because she calls herself Michelle LeBlanc. So I kind of have to call myself Michelle Marie LeBlanc. But the you can find me on Spotify, Apple Music, all those platforms, and follow me on Instagram, LeBlanc M Sing, at LeBlanc M Sing, and you can have me on Facebook. You can find me just about anywhere. Now I have a YouTube channel, and the link there is on my on the attachments. So yeah,
I
I
don't think
appreciate it.
I
What's
don't
that?
think I don't think I have your Instagram. Can you send me more of those links then to your Instagram, your social networks there? Because I don't think I have one of.
LeBlanc M Sing at LeBlanc M Sing.
I don't think
Oh,
I have that one. No.
okay. I can send that to you. Yeah.
But we're so happy. Wow, I can't believe we finally second you here to play
Oh,
and listen to your life and everything. And you just keep listening to it, and people are just going to get to know you and knock on your
thank you.
door and say, I want to hear In My Bed. And
Thank you. And I just wanted to say,
yeah.
I want to thank my daughter, my oldest daughter, Ashley, because she helped me get set up with the podcast
Yeah.
thing. And she put a lot of time into that last night, getting her set, because she's going to be seeing her podcast soon. And she's got this equipment and stuff. And she's just wrapping her head around that right now. So
Yeah,
anyway,
it worked out. It was
she's
perfect.
been really helpful to me, and I do appreciate it. And um, you know, you got to meet her earlier, and hopefully
Yeah.
someday you'll get to meet Anna, my youngest.
Yeah.
I named Anna after my grandmother. My grandmother's, we called my grandmother Annie, but we named her after
That's awesome.
yeah. But yeah, so someday you'll maybe get to meet her as well. But yeah.
If you ever
Yeah.
can get a chance to come around here again when everything is said and done, and
I'll be back. Like I'm actually hoping to go back in the spring, but it just
yeah?
depends. Yeah, but it also largely depends on the COVID situation. I have a family reunion up there this summer that I am definitely going to, as long as they're having it still. Like the last I heard, they're still having it until we hear.
Well, then you're gonna like what I have to say.
It's in Stratford.
Okay, so after we end the broadcast, there's something I want to talk to you about, which you'll like.
Yeah.
Okay,
No
everyone.
problem.
Thank you very much for
Thank you so much, everybody, and thank you.
tuning in to Michelle Marie LeBlanc, listening to her music, getting to know her. Fantastic, excellent podcast. And I planned and intended for her to be known around the world, hopefully that you're known and even Japan,
Yeah.
Okay, everyone. Thank you very much for tuning in, and may you all have a wonderful week and a wonderful weekend. Bye,
Thank
everyone.
you so much, Chris. See you later. Take care.
Bye, Michelle.
Thanks, everybody.